You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome to Loudon, New Hampshire, and round number 19 of the Stacy Strong Cup Series. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Trapasso up in the booth with you for this one. Just waiting for my partner, Matt Metler, to get out of the bathroom. There, let's fix that. Thank you so much for making this a part of your Sunday evening. A sizable field here to take on the Magic Mile. Excuse me, I currently count 24 haulers in the infield. And taking a quick look at our weather conditions, 85-degree ambient air temperature, 114 track temperature, only 38% water grain in the air. That is definitely going to shake things up, if you will, as far as the horsepower that these guys are going to be making here tonight. Nick Stein, one of the first ones to roll it. There he is. Make sure we got the right paint scheme on the O-Deuce. Sorry, 82 for Stein. Chris Claude also out on track. Why is my trading paints not working? Awesome.
Same here for me, Tony Trapasso. My trading paints is not cooperating.
Well, that means that nobody's car is going to look right. just double check a couple of things here. See if there was an update that no one told us about. Nope, no update. At least not yet, anyways. As Miller goes to the top of the heap, Samuelson slotting into third quick there. Take a look at Brandon Edstrom. Currently sits third in points. Just bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. We've just got a little technical difficulty happening here. We're trying to get the paint share program to work properly. Trading Paints is about as stable as my ex. Now, Edstrom did set quick time in the hot lap session. Let's see what he can do here in qualifying. He's now on the clock. As RJ Root sends one up in the third.
Yeah, 69 time goes to 31:04. As you said, Tony, good for third best on the board right now. Is everyone still chasing that 30 of Jeremy Miller at a 30:84?
That's kind of impressive. Edstrom goes back to third. Root now done with his. Hey, Trading Paints is working again.
All right, now I just got to replicate what you did.
Better late than pregnant. Just restart the app.
Yeah, true and true.
Jacob Schneider. Is that... Okay, no, it's not. Okay, my bad. So Schneider in the zero deuce tonight. I bet you that's not making Nick Stein too happy, because that's normally his number. Rafael Rodriguez out on track as well. There he is.
Yeah, the 60 Ford Mustang out there making his hot laps, or qualifying laps, I should say.
Eugenio Alonso going up to 14th quick on his first one. Let's see what he can do on his second one. Let's follow along with the Nitro number 86.
HMFIC of the Battle of Buenos Aires.
The only one from Buenos Aires here tonight. Seba Cornez from Uruguay currently sits 10th quick. Can Alonso surpass him?
Survey says
Yes.
yes, by one spot.
Well, Rodriguez went up to 10th as well, so they both slotted in front of Seba Cornez. Currently sitting 4th in points. We'll go over that here after qualifying. As Nate Spomer, currently the only one out on track right now, just trying to get some extra practice in right now, as we're still waiting on quite a few drivers to lay times. Randy Watkins, Steve Herring, Ken Ron, Rich Jett, Tim Cook, John Wilco, Jeff Carson, Joe Stafford back with the series. Good to see Joe back. Joe,
Yeah, front row Joe.
Joe, we've missed you.
Yes, we have. Tanner Marty as well, still waiting on a hot lap from that Chevrolet driver.
Now, none of these laps are counting for the 16 who's being scored as the 55.
Thanks for pointing that out, Tony. I was a little confused there.
I get confused all the time, so follow me. I got a map.
Yes, you typically do.
Taking a quick look at the weather conditions for tonight. Again, 85-degree ambient air temperature, not too shabby here in the New England area. Upper New England, to be more exact, but not quite specific. 114-degree track temperature. Matt, that's not as bad as we've seen as of late. I mean, I remember last
No,
week at Hot Atlanta, we were north of 130.
yeah, 131 as we opened the session. It came down a little bit, but still, we were well north of 114 degrees for a majority of that event.
But take a look at that relative humidity. Partly cloudy skies, just those wispy, poofy, cotton ball looking clouds. That's all that's there right now.
And that means low
38%,
humidity.
exactly, 38% relative humidity. These engines are going to be making gobs of horsepower here tonight.
Yeah, as they
All the
said in
horsepowers.
as they said in Armageddon regarding those rockets, max Q. And that's what these cars are going to be at pretty much all evening long. You're absolutely right, Tony. So you're going to have the track temp, which just went up now 115 degrees, combined with these next gen cars making all the power in the world.
These things
That
are going to
should
be a
prove
handful tonight.
exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself.
And as we're watching T-Mart go around this place in that Nitro 29, sharp looking paint scheme on that car this week. Different color combination we're used to seeing on Tanner's car.
Yeah, but I'm digging it, Tony. It's looking good on that
Yeah.
Camaro.
Yeah, no, the yellow and the blue really offset that matte black that they've got on that piece. And the thing just looks flat evil as he goes 16 on the first one. And yes, we are fanboys of race car paints, just like the rest of you are. So
That's right.
we're going to let you know which ones we like. And being an amateur liveried builder myself, you know, I steal ideas all the time from other people.
Speaking of that side of things, Tony, I think I have an idea for a paint scheme for the Thunderbird SSSC. We're looking at it right now.
Yeah, I could probably make that happen.
I'm liking Tanner Marty's car.
Yeah, I could probably figure something out to make that work. As we go to the drone cam around this joint, this is the road course that they run the oldest race in North America, or sorry, oldest race in New England at um, the New Hampshire 300 motorcycle as part of the Laconia Rally. And that road course, it can get pretty tricky sometimes, but once you figure out where your braking zones are, oh, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I've heard that course there, as old as it is a gem still today, Tony.
That actually opened up before they had the oval completed.
Wow, so that's getting back into really the glory days.
You, sir, are absolutely correct. As we're going to check in with Landon Lacey now, as he's coming around to put his second lap in the books.
Yeah, currently being scored just inside the top 10 in that 9th place position. Can he improve? Wow, survey says to the top of the pylon.
Grief.
What a lap of 30.83. Knocks off the thriller from Jeremy Miller. He is now P2.
And what do all 7 of our top 7 starters have in common?
It might rhyme with Prodigy.
No, it might rhyme with bored.
Bored.
They are all rocking blue ovals here tonight. Let's get rid of that.
Well, this is true as well. All Ford Mustangs in the top 7.
Yes, they are. The highest running Chevy, we'll get to that when we go into the actual race. During the warm-up session, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Taking a quick look at the point standings coming into tonight. Alex Murray still atop the pile, about 60, call it 58 markers to the good over Brandon Edstrom. RJ Root moves into third after getting all the points last week. Most laps led, the fastest lap of the race, and winning both stages. Or at least one stage, I remember. But Jeremy Miller goes into fourth. Steve Cornett is holding strong in fifth. Tanner Marty, Nick Stein, Chris Claude in eighth. John Wilco, Rich Jett rounding out your top 10. And just outside the top 10 is where it starts to get real tight real quick. Eugenio Alonso currently holding down 11th. He gains a spot as Alex Princeton loses a spot after last week. I'm sorry, Jeff Carson is the one that gains the spot. Alex Princeton losing a spot to Jeff. And there's only 3 points separating the two of them, and only 6 points till they get to Eugenio Alonso. And then you're only a handful of points back from Princeton to Sean Rogers. Ryan Samuelson sits in 15th. Ken Ron, Alex Gangler, and Aaron Mack rounding out your top 18 in points. Remember, we're taking the top 16 for the playoffs. And you don't have to worry about having a win and not being in the top, whatever in points, because everybody that's won this season currently sits in the top 16 in points. Yeah. Absolute gorgeous weather here in New Hampshire. The winner of the race getting shipped a lobster from Chris Claude here tonight. At least that's what I was told. Could be a rumor. We don't know. And just to sort things out, that is not the pit road access road. That's part of the road course down there in the infield of turns 3 and 4. And again, it's such a fun layout. If you ever get a chance to do it, I highly recommend taking a track day here. SCCA is always putting on events here in Loudon. I believe was it 24 Hours of Lemons, I think, has a date scheduled for here as well. But a lot of drivers, and let's go take a look at a man who's been missing from the timing and scoring sheets for a few weeks now. Joe Stafford, Pride of Philadelphia, back with the series. Good to have you back, Joe.
The minute I hear Philadelphia, I automatically think Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but that's just me.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Will Smith was from Philadelphia. And I there's a conspiracy theory, speaking of Will Smith. I don't know if you've heard this, Matt, or not, but apparently somebody has found a clip of a comedian on stage at some gala award ceremony thing, and he makes a comment about an actor's wife. The actor gets up, walks up on stage, and just pimp slaps him.
Yes, he just, yep.
And it was in a movie back, it was a black and white movie. And I don't know if it was film noir or what, but it happened way before the Oscars happened last year. So I'm thinking it was a setup.
Well, if it was a setup, he certainly paid the piper for a setup, because they treated it as if it was real life. Now, there's been plenty of YouTube videos out there. Heck, they've even had a psychologist out there dissecting the body language, this, that, and the other. Everyone says it was legit, but
if that was legit, I'm pregnant.
Well, I was going to say, just like the Tootsie Pop commercial says, how many licks does it take to get to the center? The world may never know.
3.
And we may never know about that incident.
I always believed Mr. Owledge 3.
Right?
And I don't have a tooth left in my head from proving it. Well, it's that time. These boys need to get on the grid and get on there quick, because I ain't waiting.
There goes my HUD.
Awesome. Let's take a quick look at tonight's starting lineup as... There we go. Starting up on the pole is going to be the 54 of Landon Lacey, 30.829, setting quick time, 7 thousandths to the good over Jeremy Miller. Jacob Schneider and Derek Heitman going to roll it off from row number 2. There they are. There's Heitman. Primetime Nick Stein's going to be rolling off right next to Mr. Excitement, RJ Root. I take that back. That's Brandon Edstrom starting next to him. There's RJ rolling off in 7th. Sean Rogers in 8th. Ryan Samuelson and Eugenio Alonso rounding out the top 10. Matt?
Starting 11th, Rafael Rodriguez in the 16th. Outside of him, the Battle of Buenos Aires' own Seba Cornez. 13th belongs to Mark Johnson. 14th, Chris Claude in the 10. 15th, Nathaniel Spoomer. 16th, Tanner Marty. 17th belongs to Ron Fitting. Outside of him, Alexander Glenner. 19th, Joe Stafford in the 57. And in the 20, or starting 20th in the 9, Jeff Carson. 21st belongs to Rick Jett. Steve Herring in 22nd. John Wilco, 23rd. 24th, Timothy Cook. And those are the 24 starters kicking off the field tonight.
The only 3 drivers left are going to be, hold on, let's try that again. There we go. Cody Colley, here he is in the Superflow Chevy. Ken Ron starting his outside in the GoPro 33. And starting shotgun on the field in the Miami-Dade Ford Mustang.
Ooh.
Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Thank you for your service, sir. That is
Yes,
Randall
sir.
Watkins out of Pelzer, South Carolina.
Yeah, Miami-Dade Fire Rescue. Only a hop, skip, and a jump for me. Liking the paint scheme on that race car, too.
That's a sharp combination. That matte black, I'm liking it. I got to start playing around with those more. Here we go as the field works its way through the 3-4 complex. Down the back straightaway, I should say. Geico restart zone is in full effect here tonight. Lacey going to lead us to green. The only thing left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the lobster and grab some Sam Adams. It's time to get it on in New Hampshire. Race fans, it's showtime!
And just like that, the Geico race start zone. Lacey lays the smack dammer down. Drag race down the front stretch. Look at the 30 of Jeremy Miller. He's going to get one heck of a run on the top side, but there is Lacey hanging tough on the bottom. Still by 2 through turns 1 and 2 as they fire off down the backstretch for the first time.
Miller and Lacey door to door as they haul it off into turn number 3. They've already got a little bit of gap starting to form behind them as Schneider and Heitman going hammer and tongs for third. They're still 2 by 2, about 12 deep right now, Matt.
Yeah, still 2 by 2. Oh, the 74 of Estrom gets the wall. He's going to come down, makes contact with the 69, I believe, of RJ Root. Everything looks okay there as they're still fighting hard. That's around that 7th and 8th place position right there on the racetrack. The 74, man, he was probably sailing his Hail Mary full of grace. Don't let the 69 take me out of this race as that got sketchy.
Our Lady of Blessed Acceleration, don't fail us now.
That too. Oh, the 78 getting a little slideways corner off.
It's Derek Heitman in another Brandon's Lasers ride. Here comes Root to the inside of Stein for 5th.
RJ Root, prime time himself, wasting no time at all because he's going to go for both. I think he's gotten a 2-for-1 there. Was able to get by the 74 and I believe also the 82 there of
Correct.
Alexander Glenner as well.
No, the 82 is Nick Stein tonight.
Nick Stein, thank you. I think
Glenner's usually in the 82.
That's right, thank you.
But Schneider accidentally took Stein's transponder, so we've got some different timing and scoring coming up right now. Helps if I turn that on, doesn't it? Currently working lap 4 of 301 here tonight at Loudon. Why 301? Because it's one extra.
300 would be too easy. Too plain Jane. We got to throw that extra lap in there. just for a little added and excitement is what it always seems to come down to on the last lap, Tony Trapasso.
These guys don't really need a lot more excitement than they already have, as we're going to check back in with perennial favorite Joe Stafford, currently running in 15th, your biggest mover at +4. Didn't get the qualifying attempt he was hoping for, but that's Chris Claude right on his back bumper right now, as he's trying to Stafford trying to reel in Mark Johnson for 14th. Everybody getting single filed out. Who was that? Who was that? Rafael Rodriguez got spit out coming out of 4 that time.
Yeah, he got hawked out of there. You're not wrong. Able to get it wrapped up. Oh,
He's still fighting it. And that goes back to the hot track temperatures with, we're up to 117 degrees now as the sun was peeking out there for a little bit. We're still at low water grain in the air. The only place you're probably going to see where it's drier is going to be Arizona.
The other thing that's on the move in the upwards direction, Tony, that wind now at 10 miles an hour. Up, make that 11. 12.
Oh, during the practice session, it was gusting up to 15. Oh, baby, we already got one.
Yep, caution number 1 is the 08. Going to make some contact out on the racetrack. Tony's going to cue the replay. Let's see what happened.
That is Tim Cook in the Hot Wheels whip tonight out of Del Rio, Texas. He's just going to huck it in there, and that low line underneath that first set of hash marks is not where you want to be. And he gets it completely sideways. Oh!
Wow.
Holy crap on a cracker, Batman.
That'll get your attention.
And you know what? We actually have an onboard with John Wilco. This is what Wilco saw. It's going to happen in front of him. He's not going to be able to see it because the roll bar is kind of in the way. There's a car parked. He tries to avoid and gets blasted.
Ouch.
And
Wilco has Bluetooth suspension. Oh my goodness, look at that Goodyear.
The only thing that's holding that wheel onto the car right now is the Kevlar tether that they make these guys have on their axles.
Yeah, kind of similar to what they have in IndyCar.
That's exactly it. Because unfortunately, back in the late 90s, IndyCar was having problems back in the 80s with sending tires into the grandstand. Where have I seen that before?
Just recently.
Yeah, because the tether broke.
That car just hit it perfectly where it cut that tether like the jagged edge of a shard of glass, and luckily sent that tire clear over the grandstands or the stands, and suddenly made the world's most expensive, most sought-after Chevy Cruze on the face of the U.S.
Well, no, that Chevy Cruze is already gone. You know where it is?
Where is it?
In the Indy Museum.
Are you kidding me? It's already a museum piece.
They gave her the pace car.
That's a heck of a deal.
It's a heck of an upgrade.
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal.
I thought you owned a Cruze. Yeah, I thought you owned a Cruze. Why are you driving a Camaro? Well, Mom, you see, what happened was...
Can you imagine that dinner conversation?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's going to be the conversation for everybody because they doxed the girl. They told who she was, and they did a whole press release with it, and told where she was from. And I guarantee you, she was the most popular person at work on Monday morning.
Had to have been, as we're trying to find out who's going to be the most popular man in prime time. Is Lacey's going to lead him back to the green flag one more time in the Geico restart zone. The 30, the 54 shoots out of a cannon and just walks row number 2. What a restart by Lacey. There's the 0-2 of Schneider. Charging down hard on the bottom. RJ Root in tow. Jeremy Miller, be ready, very careful here because he can lose 2 spots. As here comes the gentleman that threw out the first caution there in the 08. staying real far down on the inside as everyone's at speed.
And
Definitely don't want to pull up into traffic now.
And Cook is not really pushing the envelope right now as he's trying to stay, down and out of the way. There's going to be plenty of cautions tonight to get him back on the lead lap, I fear. But, definitely trying to stay down and out of the way. John Wilco still on pit road. How is that fair?
That's just heartbreaking for Wilco. He's been having really good runs as of recent. Lady Luck not on his side tonight, however. There's Brandon Estrom in the 74 going to work against the 44 of Sean Rockin' Rogers. You got to be really careful when you come off the corner like that, as they almost slap hands at over 130 miles an hour.
Well, I can pretty much promise you right now.
Oh, he comes up and bumps him in the back.
Yeah, and that's because Edstrom would love nothing more than to win what basically is going to be his home track. I mean, he's just from across the border in Springfield, Vermont, so it's right like there. Maybe a 2-hour drive if you're drunk.
Yeah, you're right. Brandon Estrom has a little bit more sentimental flavor or finesse to this race tonight. Is now the 44 Rogers coming up and challenge for the spot as we now fast forward a little bit further up the racetrack here, or back down the scoring pilot, I'm sorry, is that's the 10 of Chris Claude, is the 9 of Jeff Carson's able to pilot his number 9 Toyota, very limited TRD in the field tonight. You see 2 of them right there in the same shot. Ron Fitting in the 3 as well, out of Sumter, South Carolina, made famous by the Battle of Fort Sumter, Tony.
Correct. And one of the turning points of the Civil War.
Yes, it was. One of the big ones.
Yes, it was.
Look who's at the top of the board.
You mean Landon Lacey?
Exactly, Landon Lacey. He's checking out from these guys now. Jeremy Miller, almost a whole second behind, 0.7 of a second. You got to go back now over a second to second of Jacob Schneider in third.
Well, let me show you why Miller is losing ground to Lacey. It's because of that black Ford Mustang behind him. As we're on board with Miller, that's Schneider giving Miller all sorts of pressure. He's kind of getting into his head, and it's hard to live rent-free in the head of somebody from New Jersey because, they've got sharp tongues and they'll cut you quick if you're not careful. Quick with words, I might add.
Well said, Tony Trapasso. You're absolutely right. Is that Ford Mustang lurks closer and closer now to the back of Jeremy Miller's Ford Mustang. That's right up here fighting at the point. Oh, the 89 off into the grass. Steve Herring has problems. Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
He has problems, but we stay green. We're going to go back and take a look at what happened to the Monster Energy number 98. It's going to happen at the other end of the track. His Herring was being scored as one of the last cars, was one of the 2 last cars on the lead lap, as now Watkins has gotten by him. Just gets down on that bottom lane, which is not where you want to be here at Loudon. Loudon, yes, it looks like a flat track, but there is actually progressive banking here. It's just not very tall banking.
No, it's not.
And you're almost flat from the yellow line to that first hash mark. It's still a pretty flat track. Where you're going to find the banking start is in that second set of hash marks.
Yeah, and that's why you got to be really careful where you send that car in the corner. Where Miller is right now, where he was running, that's still pretty much on the flat. Where Tony Trapasso mentioned that second set, you can see a little bit of color differentiation in some spots in the asphalt. When you take it up to that second groove, you want to make sure your tires are evenly matched. Otherwise, that can actually send you around right there if you're not careful, Tony.
Yeah, absolutely. And where Miller's running is about as low as I would ever want to be here at Loudon. As Lacey getting the blinkies.
Don't do that.
But you can tell where everybody's trying to run. They're trying to run on that outer lane of the repave in the corners. Lacey completely blows blows the corner entry.
Gathers it up quickly, though.
He did.
About 21 laps in this run. These are when these good years are going to start hurting, especially with these cars making all that horsepower that you told us about, Tony, combined with this track temp. It's going to be tough. Lap 30, these guys will probably be screaming for fresh tires.
They're going to be screaming for tires before they're going to be screaming for fuel, I fear. But they do have 7 sets that they're able to put on here tonight. 7 total sets, I think. Let me double check that factoid.
I believe you are correct.
7 additional, so 8 total. The set they qualified on is the set that they had to start the race on. And then they've got 7 sets of freshies to put on as this race wears on. You're probably going to be begging for tires sometime between lap 30 and 35 is when, all hell should start to break loose. But, yeah, they're definitely going to be begging for tires before they're going to be begging for fuel.
Speaking of hell breaking loose, Landon Lacey has just taken these guys to the cleaners through 23 laps of competition. But Mr. Longball, he's starting to reel him back in. That gap was upwards of 0.8 of a second. Now Jeremy Miller has cut it down to 0.3, and he is closing in on the back of that 54 Ford Mustang.
He absolutely is as we go on board. And if Jeremy gets any closer to Landon, we're going to be able to take a look at which aero package these things have tonight. Being as it is a short track and they want handling mechanical grip to be priority over aero grip, if you look, you can see that little tiny wedge of black at the top of the trunk lid. That's the spoiler here tonight.
Next to just about nothing. A little bit of wicker up there, Tony. If you blink, you miss it. I mean, that's hardly any type of aero at all here, especially on this next-gen car. You're right. Mechanical grip is what NASCAR wants, and that's why you're seeing such a small wheel spoiler on this race car.
And that's why, in the real world of Cup, the guys that have dirt track experience are able to wheel this car and whip it around a lot more effectively than the guys that have just raced pavement all their career.
Yeah, a lot of these dirt track guys, they're used to initiating the turn with the back of the race car. And with this low downforce package, this flat racing surface for the most part, that's kind of what you're doing, especially on the long run.
And the other thing I've noticed tonight, at least in the Prodigy cars, look at the brake rotors as they go into the corner. They're not glowing, which means they've found something with the shock and spring package.
Well, they found something with the shock and spring package that's also screaming that those brakes are pretty well balanced, or should be pretty well balanced, inside of those rotor housings.
Well, it means nobody's doing anything crazy, like they missed the setup and they got to really dial the rear brake in to get the car to turn.
Right.
Even Mr. Rear Brake himself, Mr. Drip King RJ Root, we take a look at his car and absolutely no glow from the rotors.
Yeah, usually he is spitting flames out those rear tires. Those rotors are so hot, but not so far. Through 28 laps of competition, 1 caution flag so far, 28 laps now being shown on the ticker. RJ Root finds himself just out of that 3rd place podium transfer position in 4th. Virginia native RJ Root right there. Mr. Primetime himself, Tony. Always a fun personality to speak with in the broadcast booth. Should he place inside the top 3?
And being from Virginia, if this was a real world race, I would almost venture a guess that RJ has probably, if he does race in real life, he's probably done a couple of laps at Motor Mile Speedway down there in Virginia, and it's set up very similar to this. It's a little bit shorter of a track. It's a 5/8 mile. Banking's almost identical, and it's a little bit tighter turning. So, anybody that's been on Motor Mile knows that track is difficult to get a hold of. We got a battle for first, heating up. Miller going to send it up the inside, going through 3 and 4, still door to door. with Landon Lacey, who has led all 29 previous laps. Getting ready to put 30 in the books. Miller gets the better run. Lacey, a little bit of tail wag, drops him to second. Schneider in third, and over a second of a gap back to R.J. Root in fourth. He's kind of on an island all to his own, as Derek Heitman's 3/4 of a second off of R.J.
Yeah, Derek Heitman, like you said, Tony, this top three are literally, you pitch a 10 over these guys as they're running nose to tail. Then you have a little bit of a break in the action back to R.J. Root, who's currently in third, up 3 spots. Through 30 laps of competition, that 54 was the class of the field. Now that tire wear is coming into the equation. Look who has been sent to the front like he was shot out of a cannon. No surprise, Jeremy Miller. And now you have Schrader starting to close in on the back of Lacey.
Jacob Schneider in the zero deuce, doing what he can to try to get up there. First start with the league for Schneider. And again, I guarantee you Nick Stein's not a happy camper, as he's had to go to the 82 tonight as opposed to the zero deuce that he normally drives. But
That's
33 laps into this piece, about closing in on the halfway mark of stage 1. Stage breaks tonight are going to be on lap 70 and lap 185. So, and we're under caution. Ryan Samuelson, what did you do?
Samuelson in the 81. Let's see what happened here. Go back to the SRM instant replay. You see him, he crosses over the seams there. You got to be careful when you do that. Coming down the backstretch, going to flare off into the 3 and 4 complex and a little, thought he had a little too much rear brake bias dialed in it.
No, he had too much throttle.
Too much throttle, just
and
the opposite.
he was way too jeepers.
Wow. Ryan Samuelson, your sister's favorite driver, has a miscue.
Not anymore, he's not. But yeah, he was way too low on that track to be wanting to put that much throttle into it. And oh, look at that! Halfway through the stage, and we're seeing wholesale pit stops. Everybody pits.
Everyone's coming down pit road's the hottest commodity. Race off pit road. Jeremy Miller retains the lead. Landon Lacey hot on his heels though. That first run there before the first 34 laps of competition, Landon Lacey really had the car to beat, but now you're going to switch the roles around a little bit. Now Miller is going to have the lead when we come back to the green flag. Does Miller have enough to hold off Landon Lacey on the short run speed? We're about to find out.
So Miller winning the battle off pit road. Lacey going to slot into second. Heitman up to third. Schneider drops to fourth. Edstrom up to fifth.
And look who's right there.
What happened to R.J. Root?
Yeah, where is he? He's showing way back in 16th right now.
Top for speeding off.
I was going to say a penalty perhaps. Tony Trapasso hit the nail on the head. A very costly speeding penalty. That is going to put the 69 in a very deep hole here early.
It absolutely is, as 3 cars electing to take the wave around here tonight. Stein, Herring, and I did not see who the other one was. That's the 62 of John Wilco. We should be going lights out this time by Miller electing to take the outside lane.
Interesting choice, especially on freshies. I thought for certain he would go the inside. That's not the case. He's going to let Landon Lacey restart where he started this race from the drop of a green flag on the bottom.
Yeah, but the thing is, Lacey can't get to him until the start-finish line. If he does, he's going to be black flagged.
It's true. Let's see if Miller indeed chose the right lane here.
4 tires and fuel for everybody that came down that time.
Yeah, that's not really a shocking surprise there.
Not at all, especially with as tail happy as some of these cars were starting to get just before that caution came out. Pace car is in. Miller has the button into the Geico restart zone. They come, and Miller holds them down and finally jumps on the loud pedal. That's going to let Schneider and Lacey drag race as Heitman pushing the daylights out of Lacey right now.
I'll say.
Schneider going to let it eat on that upper shelf, though.
Yeah, he's letting it eat. It's a 2x2 John 4 special down the backstretch between Schneider, and there's the 54 of Landon Lacey still on the bottom. Lacey's going to clear. He does clear the 02, and now he's going to set his sights on the 30 of Miller.
Not yet. Schneider playing bumper tag with him.
Schneider had other plans.
And Schneider definitely had other plans. As, crap.
Caution.
I don't have it.
Oh, well, Tony works on that. Very short run here as we start to pick this one apart as we go back searching through the back of the field here, trying to find out who's responsible for this caution number 3.
Well, Joe Stafford just came up. Oh, okay.
That explains it.
That does explain it. That's the 16. Spomer. Let's go back and take a look at what happened with Nathaniel Spomer here.
Oh, 2 drivers fighting for the same piece of real estate there on corner entry, Tony. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, that's a basic physics lesson if I ever saw one. And that doesn't work.
As we always do sometimes, go to the eye in the sky, as that usually gives us a more definitive look at the action here. There it is. You see the 80 on the top shelf, 55 of Spomer on the bottom. Watch when they dive down here into 1 and 2.
It looks like the 80 thought that Spomer was going a little bit more down the track than he was.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you're talking about a little bit of a change up there on corner entry. Still looks like a racing deal to me. I don't think that was deliberate by any means.
No, that was just hard racing. There was no malice behind that one. So,
I agree, Tony. The other thing is too with this next gen car. I don't know if it's a byproduct of that independent rear suspension or not. It seems like this car, at least without having a Watson setup or an aftermarket setup in these cars, with the iRacing default setup, if you come into these corners, especially 3 and 4 on that lower line, and you start to lose that back of the race car, if it starts to wash out, at times it almost feels unsavable. It just goes into this uncontrolled drift, and you're holding on for the ride.
It kind of is. From what I've seen so far, the standard iRacing setup, it's kind of I would call it a vanilla setup where
well said.
It's not going to be the fastest horse in the barn by any means, and it will not like it if you try to huck it into the corners. So you've got to drive it respectfully, especially if you try to go to the low side. You really want to be up towards the outer lane of that repave in both corners to really get the stock iRacing setup to work at all. Miller electing to take the outside lane on the restart. Lacey, Heitman, Schneider, Edstrom, Rogers, Cornez, Alonso, Johnson, and Marty rounding out your top 10 as we get ready to turn them back loose. And getting ready to put 42 in the books here tonight. We're inside 30 to go for the stage, so this is definitely going to be a fun one. Miller has the button. This brings him into the 3-4 complex from the high side. Lacey's going to have to be more aggressive on this restart, or else he's really going to have to deal with Heitman and Schneider again. Pace car is in. Miller brings him into the Geico restart zone, holds him down, finally pulls the trigger and spins the tires just a little bit. That's going to let Lacey get a better run. Heitman almost didn't go, but I'll tell you, Schneider didn't go. And now Schneider and Heitman door-to-door for third, coming out of 2.
Yeah, door-to-door for third. That's still a cluster of cars there. Get Skinny is right behind the 0-2 of Schneider. It is racked and stacked back here. Here's the 78 now, Heitman trying to work the next half lane up, but Estrom keeping him really honest there as he keeps on applying the pressure.
You are absolutely correct on that one. And Sean Rogers, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood as he sits inside the top 10 right now. As Eugenio Alonso and Seba Cornez running 7th and 8th. So South America being repped responsibly here. There is Alonso in that Nitro number 86. There he is.
Buenos Aires native himself finds himself in 7th place, up 3 spots from where he started. Really has himself enrooted well inside the top 10. Good things keep on happening for Eugene Alonso.
Absolutely. It's always fun to interview him, too, because, I mean, it's like John Force with an accent. For those of you who are drag racing fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But he's like John Force with an accent. He's always excited whenever we get a chance to talk to him, and it's cool to watch. And right behind him, out of Uruguay, that is Seba Cornez. And Seba's had a couple of rough ones over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, he has, but it's not for lack of effort on his part. He just gets himself caught up in some weird predicaments on the racetrack. But so far, I mean, he's been one of the movers to watch at times. Not the biggest mover, but he's in the top 4, top 5 in that retrospect. He's now up 4 spots in that 8th place position.
Speaking of biggest movers, there is your current biggest mover out of Schwenksville. That is Rich Jett in the Godzilla 77. Is RJ Root working him over like a speed bag right now.
Oh, RJ just about comes up and taps Godzilla on the shoulder. Here he is pulling the trigger, sending it in down low. Godzilla taking it up high. Rich Jett referring to when I say Godzilla, of course. What a pass by RJ Root.
We need to start calling RJ Toot Toot Root because he's going to give you 2 taps of that chrome horn. The third one's going to be in your ear. And just as we were talking earlier, the 2 South Americans going after each other right now. Seba Cornez had a run on Eugenio Alonso. Alonso, though, using that outside lane to defend as we are closing in on 20 to go in stage 1. These guys are just flat picking them up and laying them down right now. As, I look back, and Tim Cook is now back on the lead lap after being 2 laps down at one point.
That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, that was almost a big incident.
Yeah, it was, because that's an angry pack of wolves behind these 2 guys. Eugenio may have found something there in that upper lane. And just as I say that, Seba Cornez makes a liar out of me. Thanks, Seba.
Well, it certainly looked like that was the case, and he's been very dedicated to finding... Oh, there's a spin behind Alonso. It's Samuelson in the 81. He goes off course, but keeps it out of the fence.
Unfortunately, Ryan was sideways enough for long enough to trigger an automatic yellow flag here in the iRacing servers. Let's take a quick look at what happened to the 81 out of Westminster, Maryland. And Ryan, you keep driving like that, you're not going to be my sister's favorite driver for long, as that's the second time tonight Samuelson's done very similar things.
Well, I can kind of have an idea why, and that's because 69-time RJ Root was dialing up the pressure cooker, and he went down there to defend, and he went to pick up the loud pedal, and it just wasn't there, and around she went.
And that's the problem. If you try to run a, quote, traditional oval line here at Loudon, the track is going to put you in a lobster trap. It's as simple as that. You cannot lay the beans to it on that bottom lane of racing surface. You've got to be at least one hash mark up off that yellow line. Left side's on that first hash mark, you're fine. But don't have it so your lefts can get anywhere near that yellow line, because that's where the trouble starts.
And that's if you're an ace at putting the beans down on this racetrack out of the corner. You got to be perfect.
And look at that. Look who's back into the top 10 after that. It's a decent-sized run.
I'll tell you what.
Took him about 20 laps to do it after starting tail end of the longest line for getting caught speeding off. RJ Root back in the top 10.
You know, if I'm Jacob Schneider on back to Estrom, if I'm the crew chief, I am screaming to my drivers right now, letting them know that the 69 that's coming, routing back through the field, wasting no time, is RJ Root, somehow now back inside the top 10, just like you said, Tony.
As we should be getting lights out on the pace car next time by. So it's going to be a short track Saturday night style heat race when we get ready to find out who's going to get the stage points in stage 1 here tonight from Loudon. Thank you all so much for making us a part of your Sunday evening. You are watching the Stacey Strong Cup Series, round number 19, here from Loudon, New Hampshire. He's Matt Metler. I'm Tony Passos, and thank you so much for making us a part of your Sunday evening. If you haven't done so already, be sure to give these videos a thumbs up. It really does help share these videos and your favorite drivers with the YouTube algorithm. And while you're at it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single moment of action here on Sim Racing Media, as we have racing 7 nights a week. As just checking in the live chat, Dcash saying Nick changed to the 82. Okay, thank you, sir. Brandon Estrom saying yes, that is his home track. Brandon Bruce saying let's go Prodigy. Kayla Schneider, I bet you can't guess who she's rooting for tonight, Matt.
Big shout out to Kayla being a part of the interaction here with myself and Tony here on SRM in the live chat. Shout out your favorite drivers. We'll get them some extra screen time. And Tony, as you and I know, oftentimes that makes them get up on the wheel a little bit more. It propels them to the front.
Well, some of the drivers, they have this on in the background, so if something goes wrong, they can hear us talk about it and go, oh, that's why the caution flew. Oh, that's why that guy just put me into the wall at 200 miles an hour. I didn't realize I had pissed him off. Miller taking the inside lane this time. Waste no time jumping on the loud pedal, gets going. Now it's Schneider and Heitman drag racing for third, and here comes Edstrom up the inside of Sean Rogers.
Edstrom bringing the cavalry hard up the inside as he's going door to door with Brock and Rogers in the 44. It's a 2x2 drag race behind the two cars at the point. Heitman and Schneider going at it. There's the 44 of Estrom, the 74 of Estrom going at it door to door. Man, it is wild inside the top 5 right now.
Whoa!
Hold on to it.
Heitman just banged the wall and had to chase it down the track. It's going to open the door for Edstrom to get to his inside now.
Maybe. It does, but he ain't clearing him. He is giving him hell, getting off the corner. Look at Heitman fighting hard on the outside.
Heitman letting that big dog eat on the top shelf where Mama likes to hide the cookies. And don't count out Rogers. He's right there in the mix, as is Eugenio Alonso. RJ Root and Seba Cornez are going door to door right now. Root has the outside, Cornez on the low shelf, where we keep the cereal. And these guys are just flat getting it right now. And I think I just broke Matt again.
Sort of. But I'll tell you what you're talking about, RJ Root. Seba Cornez does not seem to fear anyone out here on this racetrack. I mean, we've seen on RJ's charge to the front, some of these drivers just flat out getting out of their skulls, making mistakes on the racetrack. Not Seba Cornez. I don't think anyone causes that man to flinch, as he was fighting the 69 as hard as I've seen anyone throughout the course of this race so far.
Heitman's in trouble. He may have some damage on that 78. As Eugenio Alonso giving him all he can handle on the bottom side right now. Heitman,
side by side.
Side by side. Heitman gives him room, and we're back under caution.
Caution.
Oh, no.
Well, I can say RJ Root didn't cause this one. Oh, no, it's the 82 Nick Stein. So weird to say the 82 of Nick Stein.
It is, but he changed his number, so we got to go with it.
Oh, a little hug and kiss action, and that causes the 82 of Stein to pick up the loud pedal a little too soon, and around she goes.
Didn't look like he hit that Armco very hard, so I don't see a lot of damage on the left front of that whip.
If anything, that's just going to hurt the tires a little bit there. It's going to cause him the temperature spike a little bit. But
actually, it's probably going to go the other way because he got into the cool grass.
This is true. I didn't even think about that. That's just classic right there. You see the tires smoke, him, trying to lock it down there. And
I mean, he was driving it, and that really didn't impact that Armco too stiffly.
No, it really didn't. I mean, that's why these guys in the series are just so good. Even when the car gets out of shape and they're holding on to it, they're still driving that race car, Tony.
Yeah. As the cloud cover goes across the sun right now, that track temperature's got to be dropping right now. Yeah, it's down to 112.
Yeah, it looked like we just lost about 4 hours of daylight all of a sudden, as I thought we put a filter on. But that's not the case, Tony. You mentioned some dense cloud cover coming over the racetrack. And look at that. The temp responds, just like you said, now down to 111 degrees.
But that wind is still gusting. That wind's still gusting, and that's kind of got me a little worried here. Let's see, are we going lights out next time by?
I'll tell you what, no one catches a breeze to the face like Tony Trapasso. He's like the Intimidator. They used to say they wore a mustache so he could feel the air. I swear, Tony does the same thing.
Why do you think I have a 6-inch long goatee hanging from my chin?
Exactly. If there's a tingle in the air, Tony will let you know about it.
And the thing is when it is going to rain, the wind shifts just right that it doesn't feel like normal wind. If you have facial hair, you know what I'm talking about. But the wind shifts, you can tell, and it's like, rain's coming. Like I walked into work one day. Now, mind you, I still had a plate in my leg when I did this back when I wasn't in a wheelchair. Walked into work, sun shining, beautiful sky. I'm carrying an umbrella.
You like, what is this man doing?
And everybody's looking at me going, what the hell are you doing? So it's going to rain.
Coming.
No way. They said we're going to have sunshine for the next 3 days. So rain's coming. Everybody gets ready to leave at 5:30. Skies opened up. And everybody just looked at me as if to say, how the hell did you do that? I said, well, two things. One, my knee was killing me because I could sense the barometric pressure changing. I said, and when I went outside to smoke a cigarette this morning, the wind didn't feel right. And they all just looked at me and, what kind of voodoo are you doing? No, you just got to be one with nature, man. As much as I love motorsports, you got to, step back every once in a while and, just be with nature for like a weekend or two.
Yeah, if you pay attention and you listen, a lot of times she lets you know what's coming. As I can feel something brewing in the air, and that's that green flag back in action one more time as Jeremy Miller wastes no time as the restart games have now shifted to the early part, or the just the inside the restart zone that time, as he kind of caught the field sleeping there. He's going to get a great restart. Gets him about 3-4 car lengths over Brandon Lacey in the 54.
Landon Lacey, Brandon Edstrom up into third. There is Brandon. And I can tell you right now, that kid would love nothing better than to win at his home track. As Alonso and Root go door to door, we are 7 to go.
It's spicy. Can you tell the end of the stage is coming? I sure can. And look at the charge that RJ Root has put on the field since he recovered from that speeding penalty. I would say he's done a masterful job as he's side by side with Alonso. He's going to shoot it off down low in the corner. He's one of the few drivers that I've seen been able to send it down that low and not have a miscue. I shouldn't have said it. I am sorry, RJ Root.
So that was Matt Metler here, Sim Racing Media, Tampa, Florida, P.O. Box OU812.
Oh, I'm sorry, RJ. That was the case of the broadcaster's curse.
And if you look where RJ is, he's right above that first set of hash. And that's about as low as you ever want to go here at Loudon. Eugenio Alonso has a little bit of a tail wag coming off of 4, chases down the track. RJ was trying to come up the track a little bit. There's probably some pressure to him.
Right.
It doesn't look like there's a ton of damage on the 69, but we are within.
To do it again.
Well, no. Here's the thing: we are within 5 laps of the stage, which means that is the stage. Miller, Lacey, Edstrom, Rogers, Heitman, Cornez, Johnson, Spomer, Alonso, and Jett getting the final point in stage 1. With that, we are going to step away, pay a couple bills, and we'll be back right after this. Back at Loudon, New Hampshire, round number 19. Pit stops done and dusted, and fresh fuel for everybody. There is your stage 1 winner, Mr. Jeremy Miller, as we are going to reach out to him as soon as I can find him again. There he is. As we now reach out to our Stage 1 winner, Jeremy Miller, congratulations.
I'm not the Stage 1 winner yet. I actually got to run one lap here and a one-lap shootout to do it. So hopefully
What?
I get it. Then I can talk to y'all. But this
Crap, I just jinxed Jeremy. Sorry, bud.
are all good. We're going 1 to green right here.
All right, I'll move you back. Field filler, right?
Yep.
Okay, so apparently we were wrong. It's not the stage. Because the stage is going to end at the end of lap 70. And they're going to be able to get a one-lap shootout in.
Oh, that's ought to be interesting. Make sure Grandma's got a full bowl of kernel-free popcorn. Like you said, Tony, place your bets.
Place your bets, folks, because I guarantee you somebody's going to end up on fire. Or in the infield care center.
Brandon SRM has up his sleeve here.
Well, he's going to have to really go with Miller. And the thing is, Miller's running with field filler tonight. Edstrom's running with PRE. So a little bit different dichotomy is they've got Jacob Schneider up on field filler tonight. So Schneider was one of the ones that came down under that caution.
He was. Green flag back in the air for a one-lap thriller to the stage, that is. Now lap 70 being scored on the board. We just got to make it all the way back around. Here comes the 54 of Lacey. He's lurking. Miller gets a strong corner exit. 74 of Estrom touches the wall. You know he wants another spot. Look at him applying the pressure all over the back of that Ford Mustang. Talking about the 54 of Lacey coming through the 3-4 complex one more time at the line. Miller's going to get the stage, followed by Brandon Lacey and Brendan Estrom. That's the top three.
Sean Rogers in fourth, Eric Heitman fifth, Steve Cornez in sixth, Mark Johnson, Rich Jett, I can English, I promise I can. Nate Spomer in ninth, Rafael Rodriguez getting the final point in 10th. So let's try that again as now we can officially reach out to the winner of stage 1.
Try this again here.
Absolutely. Jeremy Miller, do you got us, sir?
Yes, I do.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Long time no see here, guys.
Yeah, it's been a little too long, man. You kind of been behind the 8 ball the last couple of weeks. How does it feel to be back in the front of this field?
Yeah, pretty good. I've been pretty bad here all week, trying something new tonight, and it's working so far. I don't think we have the best car out here, but definitely a pretty good one.
Well, you had the best car on that first long run that we saw, going almost 30 laps in between the caution for incident and when you guys had to pit there. How bad is the fuel mileage tonight?
Oh, fuel mileage is not going to be an issue unless we get some really weird timed yellows. Car can go like nearly 80 laps on a tank, I feel. So more with the yellows, obviously. So it's going to be all about the tires tonight, keeping your rears on it more so than anything, but also got to worry about that right front just like anywhere else.
All right, Jeremy, we're going to let you get to the pit stop. Best of luck to you in the next segment.
Thank you.
Good luck there, Jeremy.
Well, there you heard him. He's not confident that he has the best car here tonight, but I'll tell you right now, I was willing to call him a liar to his face after what I saw him do in the first part of stage 1 when right around lap 30. Right around lap 30, just before they came down for that tire stop, he was able to get by Landon Lacey pretty solidly. And here we go. Schneider and Root both electing to stay out. They came down under that last caution.
I don't think RJ Root has said, I am sick of the shenanigans any more than that move right there. He said, get me to the front. And he stays out, and so does the 0-2 of Schneider.
Yeah, that was
part
definitely
of Tommy Boy's Holy Schnikes Racing in the Ford.
Do what now?
Tommy Boy. Holy Schnikes, Schneider.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies of all time, if anyone's wondering.
Chris Farley was underutilized in that movie.
He was. Maybe overutilized in Black Sheep, but
Right.
can you ever have too much Chris Farley? I'm not so sure.
Farley kind of reminds me of the 90s version of John Belushi. Like if you go back and take a look at the early days of SNL, or even what was the other one? Second City, when Belushi got his start, there was a lot of physical comedy.
You know, we often talk about the glory days of NASCAR, you know, being in the 90s, early 2000s. I assimilate that time era as well with SNL.
I first got introduced to the acting chops of John Belushi when my parents let me watch Animal House.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like 6.
Try remaking
And
that
then
movie
we got
today.
no.
Exactly.
Half the things that they did in that movie, every house on that campus would lose their national charter.
Be burned down.
And turned into dorms for the sports teams.
Talking about dorms for the sports teams, look who's on the front row now. R.J. Root and Schneider. They're going to lead them back to green. Don't spin the tires here. Great start from the 0-2 of Schneider. He's going to pull out to the lead here, as that leaves R.J. Root and the 54 of Lacey into a dogfight side by side for the next 2 rows. The 30 of Miller, your stage 1 winner, the 74 of Estrom in their own as well.
Edstrom hanging tough. Miller trying to claw his way back up there. Currently sits in 4th, and he's just biding his time. And you look at the line Miller's running, he's not being overly aggressive trying to get to the bottom. He's just running
the wall.
Well, it wasn't too difficult. Because now he's working the outside of Root. Go ahead, Jeremy. Tell me again that you don't have the strongest car out here right now.
I know.
And say it with a straight face this time.
He's got to know that car is bad fast. You can tell how he's driving it. A lot of confidence inside the cockpit of that race car, is he's just letting it hang out on the top side. Oh, against R.J. Root of all people, making it look easy.
Yeah, but you take a look at the boys from Field Filler Motorsports tonight. Schneider leads the way. Miller sits in 3rd. R.J. Root's in 4th.
They're right there.
They are right there on top of each other. And you can pretty much throw a blanket over your top 6. As Sean Rogers is the caboose in this little freight train. Your highest running Chevy, there he is in the 44. Right behind him, Seba Cornez.
First Toyota in line as far as the scoring pylon's concerned, in 7th, up 5 spots from where he started. I'm telling you, Seba has really turned the corner in this league, Tony. He has really strung together, you know, some strong runs. Had a little bit of a falter over the past couple weeks, not of his own doing, but has managed to stay out of the chaos so far. I mean, he's right there. I mean, he's in 7th place.
Root sideways off of 4. That's going to let Edstrom get back to his back bumper.
And remember, Root elected to stay out there. He did not come down pit road, so he's going up against some fresh Goodyear Eagles right now.
It's only Estrom, 6 laps difference.
You wouldn't think 6 laps is a lot, but, you know, with these track conditions like we talked about, I mean, certainly it's putting them in the hole just a little bit.
It is, but it's not a huge deficit. It'll start to even out here in another 10 to 15 laps. As Landon Lacey just set fast lap of the event with a 30.90 in race condition.
That is
And don't look now. Here comes your stage 1 winner.
Miller time on the top side. Tony, that's, you know, like we were just saying, that just screams to me. He has a ton of confidence in that race car. He's just putting that car wherever he wants, and he's making it work out there.
picking them up and laying them down right now. As
Yes,
Miller and
sir.
Lacey still going after each other. And the question has to be asked, is Schneider going too hard too soon?
That could be the case. You know, I haven't seen any telltale signs out of the out of the race car as far as a bobble going into the corner, sliding up the racetrack, through the center. But then again, as you mentioned, we're on some fresh shoes right now. If he is, that may start to come into the limelight here over the next 10 to 15 laps or so. But you bet, with as good as Jeremy Miller is, there goes the 74 off the nose. He's going to get it wound up, but that's going to bring out a caution flag, Tony, as the 74 probably has the biggest Code Brown moment of the race.
Well, let's go back and take a look at what happened to that Brandon Slazer's Ford Mustang.
A little too hot on the loud pedal.
Coming off the bottom, and nobody hit him. Nobody hit him.
How did Seba Cornez miss him?
Well, let's go find out, shall we?
I take that back. Perhaps Seba had the biggest Code Brown moment of the race. Watch this. Everything's fine. Little wiggle, no problem. RJ Root's and then watch this. Wow. Toledo.
Let's watch this, because I guarantee you this is going to end up in his car if the camera hangs off the car. There was a little bit of room. I mean, if you stood perfectly still, they would have missed you, but
not by much.
Not by much is right. Another coat of paint, we probably would have seen deep trouble. Just like that, we are under caution again. Ken Ron getting the wave around, I think. Nope, that was Nick Stein. And it's only going to put Stein 10 laps down.
And Tony, just a heads up, something's not quite right here on my end.
Sure.
Got that burning plastic smell.
Oh, boy.
Just a heads up.
Oh, goody.
"85 laps being written into the history books here from the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tony, you get the W here. You get a live, fresh lobster, literally.
Yes. Yes, that is
some of
definitely
these
going to be the
drivers,
case.
as we've seen with trophy presentation, some of the oddest reactions from the Cup garage you'll ever see.
Well, have you seen the size of the lobster that the real world winner gets?
Yeah, Lobby the Lobster. That man's large and in charge.
He's living a glamorous life, I'll tell you that much. Nobody eats him.
Yeah, it's kind of like the ballpark Franks. They plump when you're cooking because that lobster is just...
His claws are bigger than my feet.
Exactly.
Kind of reminds me of Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. Didn't think we'd do that tonight, did you, folks?
Me money.
I guess if you look at it that way, it's just an honor to be able to hold him.
But not a lot of people want to.
No, because they're scared of him. Look, I mean, the size of his claws, that'll crush your throat.
Yeah, I mean, those are some special rubber bands they have on those claws.
Yeah.
I think Joey Logano's reaction was probably one of the best.
I don't remember it.
I don't think he even held the thing up. I don't think, if I remember correctly.
Oh, that's right. He poked it with his finger and then just walked away and went, nope, no thanks.
He was like, oh, nope, I'm not having this. Is suddenly Miller kind of hanging back from the pace car here on this restart.
Schneider
Now
has the
he's
button, though.
That's right. Snyder, top shelf, has the button. Thank you.
Holds him down, finally jumps on the loud pedal. Here we go.
Late in the restart
And
session.
look at that. All three of Field Filler Motorsports running 1, 2, 3 as we sit right now.
Like my Waffle House hash brown, smothered and covered. Field Filler at the front of the field. All trying to chase down Jacob Schneider in the 02, not the 82. Don't get confused. As Tony mentioned, the top of the broadcast, been a little shuffle here in the number assignment.
Nick Stein elected to change his number,
Correct.
which is why the 02 was available for tonight. And Field Filler said, hey, we're going to put Jake in the car. Right now, doing a masterful job as we're about 100 to go in stage 2. It seems so weird to say that.
It does, doesn't it? Single file at the front of this freight train here. You see the 30 there, Jeremy Miller solidly in second. There is a change for position on the racetrack, or a battle, I should say. You got the 29 and the 86 of Eugene Alonso. And Tanner Marty going at it head-to-head right now.
Alonso goes way up to the top shelf.
Made it work.
Did make it work, but I don't think he really wanted to go quite that high. You do have to be mindful of the marbles that collect up there in that top shelf. As right in front of him, Cody Cowley making something happen on Rafael Rodriguez. Edstrom gets by as well as Rodriguez blows the 80 is sideways.
80 is sideways, locking it down, saves it.
How do we not go caution for that? He was completely sideways on the front chute.
How did he get that car straightened back out?
I have no idea.
What
but
a save.
Mark Johnson, save of the night.
Right. You're right, Tony. That car was 90 degrees pointing in the wrong direction. And he gives it a good old brake stab and somehow able to get it right. If you blinked, you would have missed it.
Edstrom back into the top 10 as he's on his recovery drive, working around Jeff Carson right now. One of the 2 fastest cars on track last time by for Edstrom.
Yeah, Edstrom is coming in a hurry here. Now he's trying to do his interpretation of RJ Root's drive through the field. RJ has rebounded, or I should say has stabilized. Holding there in third, just like you said, Tony, those tires would equalize, and they seem to have done so as he settled right in front of Seba Cornez, who's up 7 spots in 5th.
The only thing that's breaking up that Field Filler juggernaut at the front of this piece, surprise, surprise, it's a PRE car driven by Landon Lacey. Oh, and Landon just so happened to have your pole position tonight. Schneider and Miller continue to run stem to stern at the front of this piece. They're starting to pull just a tiny bit of a gap on Lacey, as I think Lacey's looking a little more in his rearview mirrors. Here we go for the lead. Miller was thinking about it and thought better of it, as we're under caution. Oh, Alex Gangler, what did you do? Let's go back and take a look at what did happen to the 8 here tonight. Hey, skating it, coming off a 4. Keeps it off the wall, keeps it pointed in the right direction, but he's down on that low side, coming through 1 and 2. And I think it's, the same thing we have seen all night long so far. If you're next to the yellow line, you've got to be very gentle on that fuel pedal. So that's going to bring out caution number 9 here tonight. As we do have some takers bringing them down pit road. Well, 1 taker anyways. Make that 2, as it's going to be Nate Spomer in the 55 and Eugenio Alonso in the 86. Both those drivers coming down for probably some fresh shoes. Nope, Alonso going fuel only. And back to the front of this piece, there is your race leader, Jacob Schneider. And I can pretty much promise you that there is one young lady that's rooting for him right now that is liking what she's seeing. Kayla, let us know. As your man currently leads this piece here, as we're getting ready to put lap 96 in the books. First start, can you do what we've only seen one other time this season? Win in your opening race with the Stacey Strong Cup Series. And we may have possibly lost Matt. Yep, we lost Matt. Oh. Well then, we're going to be going solo for a little bit here until I can get somebody in here to give me a hand. Kind of herding the squirrels, as I like to call it. Lights are out on the pace car. Miller has the button. I'm sorry, Schneider has the button, elected to take the outside lane. He learned something from Miller earlier that he was liking what he was seeing. Let's see what type of restart RJ Root can get, as he was battling pretty hard with Landon Lacey there for a little bit. Closing in on the century mark here tonight from Loudon, New Hampshire. Schneider, Miller, Root, Lacey, Cornez, Rogers, Heitman, Jett, Edstrom, and Carson. Your top 10 as we currently sit. Pace car is in. Into the Geico restart zone they come. And RJ Root slightly asleep at the switch as Lacey gets a great jump going behind Miller. Root trying to let it eat on the top shelf. And he's going to give Lacey an opening to come up the track. He didn't want to be banging doors with him. But he's got to be careful because here comes Mr. Rogers in the 44. Single file at the front of this piece as Jett and Cornez go door to door for 6th and 7th. Jett in the Godzilla Camaro, currently your biggest mover at plus 14. Running in 7th right now. Jeff Carson back there in 10th. There you see Jeff in the chromed out number 9. He's sitting plus 10 in 10th. And then if you look back there, that's Cody Colley in the Super Bowl 56. He's currently sitting plus 13 right now. Who says you can't pass at Loudon? I call shenanigans on that one. Speaking of shenanigans, here comes Brandon Edstrom. What just happened to RJ Root? Oh, he got it all wrong. Let's go back and take a look. Root's going to be on the low side, coming through 1 and 2. And just too aggressive on the loud pedal. Gets it sideways and hemorrhages some spots there. So we go back live. Root now drops to 11th. These guys are just flat picking them up and laying them down right now. Ron Fitting and Nate Spomer going after each other for 14th. That's side by side. As Root and Carson going door to door now, and they've got Rodriguez for company. Carson holding a good line through 3 and 4. Root, though, wanted it more. Carson just let him go. Oh, baby, these guys are just getting after it right now. Going back to that battle of 13th and 14th, Spomer and Colley heating things up. Spomer in the 16, currently sits in 13th. Colley drops one now. He better get in line quick, because here comes Ron Fitting in the Mountain Dew Live Wire number 3. Checking back in with Rich Jett is he's got Derek Heitman filling his rearview mirror. With us a quick second, folks, as I got to take care of some things behind the scenes. There we go. These guys are just flat picking them up and laying them down right now. So we're going to go back to that battle between Spomer and Carson. Spomer on a tear right now. It's a little deep in this field as Rodriguez and Carson now go door to door. Carson pancakes the right side of the car coming out of 2. Getting back up here into the top 5. That is Steve Cornez and Brandon Edstrom giving Sean Rogers all he can handle right now. Okay, that's something I didn't know that they did. It's got to be a Pennsylvania thing. Dave Regal checking in saying, hey, do you want Italian ice? I said, yeah, I'll take orange. He goes, I'm getting Swedish fish. Why do I smell burnt toast all of a sudden? We're to lap 111 of 301 here tonight from Loudon. Thank you so much for making this a part of your evening. And joining us now, Liam Irving, thank you for stepping into the booth.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Glad to join this.
Welcome to Loudon.
Yeah, I'm glad to join the Sunday night NASCAR series. These guys rock at Loudon. Weren't able to see the Cup Series get it done today, but we're seeing the Sunday night NASCAR drivers get it done here tonight. A lot of fantastic action been going on all over the racetrack as the caution has just come out. for another incident here on the track.
And
we are sitting here.
Don't have it. Oh, there it is. Mark Johnson, there he is in the 80 on the low side. Johnson's had problems here tonight. And I mean problems with a capital P. He's almost caused a caution a couple of times from getting that car sideways, just being too aggressive on the loud pedal, coming off the corners. And this is one of those tracks, as Liam, I'm sure you can attest to, you do not want to be below that first set of hash marks trying to squeeze the trigger.
You really don't. That's actually contrary to where most tracks are. That's actually where the banking transitions. That yellow line is not where the banking transitions. So if you get up above that first hash mark, you're going to have a little bit more banking. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys dive it down in there.
Now, the thing is, if you're going to be below it, be below it. If you're going to be above it, be above it. Don't try to 50-50 it, because that's when the car gets very unhappy with you, as we have seen a couple of times already tonight.
That will definitely upset the race car. Getting up on two different sets of banking. I mean, you've got different settings on the left side versus the right side. Definitely going to be a challenge as these guys get through.
And a little bit of pit strategery going on right now as Seba Cornez stays out. He was last down on lap 72. Brandon Edstrom was down on 84. Nate Spomer was down on 75. Rafael Rodriguez, who's going to restart in 4th, was down on 72. Same thing goes for Tanner Marty in the 29. Chris Claude was down on 72. Alex Gangler and Mark Johnson were last down on lap 95. And everybody from Jacob Schneider on back took 4 in fuel. And I'm kind of surprised Johnson didn't come down pit road to swap tires, considering just how unruly that car has been for him tonight. As we take a quick look at the weather conditions coming into this evening, or currently right now, I should say, still 84-degree ambient air temperature. Track temperature under partly cloudy skies has already dropped to 102, so we're down about 15 from when we started the session here tonight. The wind has calmed down a little bit. We're finally back into single digits with that wind factor. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Seba Cornez is going to have the button this time. First time in a long time we've seen Seba have it. What type of restart is the 14 going to give us? Spomer in his first race tonight. Your current highest running Chevy is Tanner Marty, going to be restarting right behind him.
As they make their way down the backstretch here, 2 by 2, that field re-racked, restacked. Tony, as you mentioned, some pit road strategery. That's going to have Brandon Estrom and Seba Cornez on the front row. Battle of Buenos Aires' own Seba Cornez.
No, he's from Uruguay.
Or Uruguay, thank you. I keep getting those two screwed up. As that pace car pulls off, here we go. Strap Grandma in one more time. Get her some more kernel-free popcorn, because we're getting it on lobster style here in the Northeast. Live from New Hampshire is Seba Cornez. Jumps out to a strong advantage here with a magnificent restart. He's going to now try to pull away from the 74 Brandon Estrom, but he's got a mirror full of Spoomer in the 55 ride. That Chevrolet now right up in that third place position. The 60 behind him, I believe he is a lap down. No, he's not. Rafael Rodriguez side by side with the 29 of Tanner Marty. He's going to have the advantage as the 60 blew the corner there. Now the 29 of Tanner Marty, he's going to slide up in front.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Tony, we've seen this go bad several times. Hopefully these boys get it sorted out, and they do, at least in the short going. is this is a gaggle of cars all fighting for position here. Raymond Root, the 69, as he tries to charge his way through the field again, as he's now knocking on the back door of the top 10 and gets it, now up to 10th for the 69 of RJ Root.
Heitman follows him through as the 8 of Gangler not having a good time of it here tonight, especially in the longer we stay green, as checking up towards the front again as Tanner Marty under heavy pressure right now, as is Sean Rogers. Matter of fact, it's Marty giving Rogers pressure, and don't look now, but here comes Jeremy Miller.
Yeah, here he comes. Miller, always the thriller inside of that cockpit of that Ford Mustang, door to door as they shoot off into the turns 1 and 2 complex. Look at the confidence that Miller continues to have inside of that race car. I know he said in that interview, Tony, he didn't have the best car on the racetrack, but it looks like something a little different than what he told us. Is now he pulls alongside of the 44, easily takes the spot on corner entry.
To quote my Italian grandmother, bullshit.
A little bit of a wiggle there from Marty, corner off.
Miller continuing to just pound the pavement as Schneider working all over the back bumper of Spoomer now. Goes to the inside of the 16. Down the back straightaway they come, and Schneider on the fresher shoes is picking them off just as quick as he pleases.
Yeah, he is. That 0-2 car. He's really been a force to be reckoned with here through 120 laps of competition. I mean, look at him all over the back now of Brandon Estrom. You know he wants to get this win, as you said, pretty much his home track. Door to door, here goes the 0-2, pulling the trigger of Schneider. He has the advantage off the corner, able to put the power down. Oh, and the 74 kisses the wall on exit.
74 bangs the wall. That's going to let Spomer get to him.
Contact.
Oy. Miller's got to be careful as he's on the outside lane. He's kind of at mercy at that point.
So
Spomer drops back. Here comes Miller up into third, and here comes Schneider back to the lead.
Schneider pulls the trigger, says, I want it. Thank you, Siva Cornez. And Jacob Schneider back to the top of the totem pole. But Siva Cornez continues to be one of the biggest movers of the race, up 10 spots. Biggest mover, how about Godzilla tonight, Tony? Rich Jet in the 77, up 13 spots from where he started. Biggest mover of the race. Holy cow, Rich Jet.
There you go. There you see Jet in the Godzilla number 77. Heitman working his back bumper right now, looking to put him back a spot. Root continues to claw his way forward as he's now working the inside of Edstrom for 5th.
Yeah, for 5th place. Who would have thought? I mean, this is the second time we've seen RJ Root have to climb his way through the field. As now he's up into that 5th place position once again. Going back to the front, though, side by side. Jeremy Miller fighting with Siva Cornez. Miller is going to get the spot and bump Siva back to 3rd, potentially 4th now, as here comes Rockin' Rogers in the 44. They door check each other. That's going to open the door for RJ Root, who is virtually there, hanging off the back of Siva's car.
And these two have gotten together in the last few races, and neither one is happy with the other one. That's a positive statement, as far as a truthful statement, I should say.
Yeah, right you are, Tony.
And there was some spitting back and forth going on in the league's Discord channel in the last couple of weeks, and finally, you know, Chris Claude put a mute on it and said, yeah, no more, guys. But right now, Field Filler Motorsports 1, 2, and 4.
Yeah, I'm not so sure of the term filler because they're out there dominating right now. I understand that's the team name. But, I mean, you think field filler, you just think, you know, drivers out there just, you know, making up the car count. They're doing everything the opposite of that here tonight, is they have 3 cars inside the top 5, virtually all of them. They're right there, nose to tail.
They are at that, as Heitman putting the pressure on Spomer now. Rich Jett right there on the back bumper as well. He's going to work the inside of Spomer. At 16, not having a good time of it right now, as we are working lap 127 of 301. The next stage caution is going to happen on lap 185.
Yep, so a little bit of a ways to go here to the stage break for caution number 2. And already some of these cars starting to get a little unhappy as they're transitioning through these flat-esque corners around this facility, Tony.
Well, we heard Liam say earlier, do we still have Liam? Or not?
I think he's still in here with us. I appreciate him jumping in, as that plastic smell that I had was my 1660 Ti's fan finally giving out on me. Luckily, I got 4 PCI Express slots, so I had another one inserted. Just had to switch some HDMI cables around, enable it in the BIOS, and we're back.
It's now Jett and Edstrom door to door, banging fenders coming off a 2. But we heard Liam say that the banking doesn't start until that hash mark that Rich Jett is running around.
Yeah,
everything's flat until there.
Yeah, that's, kind of unlike any other oval track. It's unique, as he was saying, and a little bit of a lesson there for me. I didn't realize that's exactly where the banking started here until he had mentioned that, and big thanks to him jumping in, helping with the call while I got that sorted. Big lot of Jett.
It was a big tail wag there as Edstrom continues to still hound him. But the thing is, Jett is on fresher tires than Edstrom.
That's a great point, Tony. I almost forgot about that, but he is. And we know the importance of new shoes here, or newer shoes at New Hampshire.
We're 50 to go, roughly 50 to go in this stage. Seba Cornez under heavy pressure right now as Heitman just continues to slug away, trying to pick off the 14, but Cornez is able to use that second lane to lay the power in a little bit early. And just as I say that, Heitman on the fresh shoes overcomes the advantage that Cornez had.
Wow, look at the run by the 77 of Jett.
Again,
he really sent it.
You're talking about 30 lap difference on their tires. No, actually, that's 40 lap difference on their tires.
It looks like the car's got an extra 100 horsepower.
Mm-hmm. Now, granted, these tires don't fall off as quickly as the old tire model did, but they still have tire wear.
Yeah, we've coined the new tire wear.
Hockey pucks.
Tony, you like to call it hockey pucks, exactly, and it's like having the hards in Formula One.
It absolutely is, and I don't know if you and I were talking. Yeah, you and I were talking about it the other night. Daniel Ricciardo, the IndyCar driver, taken over at AlphaTauri.
And that is the top of the board when it comes to open wheel. And yes, that is correct. Tony is talking about the driver change in the Formula One world. Big expectations there as they take on, is it Hungary this week?
The Hungaroring, yeah.
Hungaroring, and that is one tight ring. You have closer quarters than we've seen at the Chicago Street Course.
But there's runoff areas. The track surface may be about the same width as the tight sections of the Chicago course, but there's grass around the place.
Yeah, Chicago, you got asphalt and then concrete should you miss.
As RJ Root sends it in on Mr. Rogers in the 44. Just like that, all three field filler cars running 1, 2, 3 right now. The only thing is, RJ Root has about 2.5 seconds to make up before he catches Miller, and Miller's got 1.5 seconds before he can catch Schneider.
Yeah, at the front
50
of the field,
to go.
50 to go in the stage, and as Tony was mentioning, a lot of breathing room now at the front of this field in between each other. But RJ continues to be the man on the move, Tony. Taking a look here at the lap times. Let's see how RJ's faring against the top three here. RJ Root, currently last time by, ran a 31.62. Jacob Snyder a 31.55. And Miller a 31.54. So while they're close in times, Schneider continues to be the fastest guy at the point, and Jeremy Miller second fastest, and then RJ Root. Everyone else seems to be in that high 31-second bracket.
Oh, you can see it there. Miller was faster than Schneider the last lap. Let's see what this lap's going to give us. Schneider faster by a tenth. Almost 2/10.
Almost 2/10, right?
And then you take a look at RJ Root. Root was faster than Miller that time. Miller might have used his tires up trying to claw his way through this field. We know RJ did.
Yeah, RJ had to. Taking a look there at the time delta, that says it all right there.
Yeah, absolutely. We continue to watch here. We are going to go back a little ways as Rich Jett and Seba Cornez starting to heat things up for 6th.
Now, these two have some history.
Yeah, they do.
You see Jett's going to send it in here, take an aggressive approach to this battle on the racetrack. He's trying to get everything he can, corner off. Seba gets a great exit, little bit of a wiggle out of Godzilla. That's going to open up a little extra breathing room, but watch how the 77 really tries to close up the gap here through the center of the corner, hard into the braking zone there. But the 14 is Seba Cornez. Oh, as I just was about to say again, I'm done talking about drivers. I'm done.
Well, I was about to say that, Jett has 40 lap newer tires than Cornez does, but we're at that point of the run where they're pretty much evened out right now. Jett just took too long getting to Seba to really do a lot with him. He had to hope for a mistake, and the mistake he got, as we're going to go back to who is now your biggest mover. That's Cody Colley in the Superflow Chevy. And don't look now, but that's Brandon Edstrom hunting him down right now.
Yeah, Brandon Edstrom in the 74, sentimental favorite here. You know he really wants to win this racetrack, or win this race at this racetrack. Cody Colley, though, getting the better of him. Up now 17 spots, as you mentioned, biggest mover of the race. And now here comes the 55 of Spoomer. Wow, he sends a boomer into the corner. That was a Hail Mary, and man, he made it stick as they're now side by side, door to door.
Edstrom and Spoomer, the 74 on the high side, the 16 on the low shell, still door to door.
Be careful, boys. Remember, long way to go here. More than 150 laps remaining still, and they still don't have it sorted, Tony. The side-by-side at the start-finish line as they're hauling off back into one.
Dude, we still have 43 left just in the stage.
Exactly. And these guys are going out like it's the last lap.
Checking back in, Colley has gotten by Cornez. Cornez's tires seem to be falling off the cliff right now. And, I mean, track position is track position, but Cornez has got to be wanting to kick himself for not coming down on the previous 2 cautions, not realizing we were going to get this long of a green flag stint.
Yes, a lot of times we say cautions breed cautions, so I can understand with, Seba's logic. I wasn't anticipating this long of a green flag run, but, sometimes you got to be prepared for it. And the longer this run goes, the more that's going to continue to hurt and impact the 14.
You're absolutely correct, Matt. And, that's something these guys have got to be mindful of. But it looks like Heitman and Rogers starting to heat things up again.
These two have found themselves nose to tail an awful lot throughout the course of this race. The 44 of Rogers, there's the 78 of Heitman. That's for 4th and 5th, respectively, on the racetrack. This all going on, about you know, 6-7 seconds behind the leader. Oh, you see the 8 there. That's a lap car. He's going to try to get up out of the way, but now comes down off the top a little bit. That's really going to make it interesting. Almost 3 wide off the corner. Is you got 2 drivers and Rogers and Heitman battling out here like it's the last lap of the race. And here is the 8 that is just not getting out of the way, Tony. I thought he was for sure going to just give the advantage here.
3 wide.
Sets up as a pick for the 78 of Heitman as the 44 slows because the 8 was there and is able now to make the pass. I bet the 44, Sean Rogers, has to be fuming right now.
And we are under caution. And I don't have it.
Perhaps the 08 Hot Wheels car having trouble here once again.
Let's find out. Oh, yeah. That'll do it.
Wow, just a solo self-spin there. Bonks it off the wall.
Formula Drift was 2 weeks ago, bud.
Yeah, that could be a parking penalty there for the 09, Tony.
No, he kept it going, and as soon as, he got it sideways, was trying to save it, backed it into the wall, got it pointed back straight, and kept going, but, he was more than 90 degrees perpendicular to the racing line.
Oh, he had a great save, don't get me wrong. I might have misunderstood. I thought there was penalties incurred throughout the race if you found yourself in a solo spin or a situation where you've had a couple incidences on the racetrack over the course of the 301 laps tonight.
If that's the case, half the field is already into penalty points.
True, this is true.
And speaking of gambling on pit strategery, Steve Herring stays out.
What?
And RJ Root just went fuel only.
Fuel only for Root. Herring says, I'm going to stay off pit road altogether. I'm going to go up and get me the lead here.
Unfortunately, there's no bonus point for leading the lap anymore. Looks like he's coming in this time.
Yeah, he's coming in this time. You're right, Tony. No point for going out there leading the lap, but that just goes to almost to show you how critical track position here is at this racetrack.
As we just had wholesale pit stops for the rest of the lead lap. Alexander Gangler getting the free pass to get back on the lead lap as he had just gone a lap down to the leaders. As he brings his U.S. Air Force Mustang down for some service.
He was definitely a topic of conversation there right before that caution flag came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Tony, am I seeing that correctly? Look who is at the front of the field. RJ Root in the 69 time Ford Mustang.
Mr. Excitement.
He won. Mr. Excitement himself. You got Kenny Capola, Mr. Excitement on Wednesday nights. And Sunday night, that shifts to the 69 time man right there, RJ Root. He's done it one way or the other. He's gotten that Mustang to the point.
I don't know if you remember when we were talking with Kenny. He told us he's run with these guys before.
Yeah, he has.
And it was an absolute slugfest between him, Root, and Joe Stafford at the time.
Stafford at the time, right.
And unfortunately, you and I came onto the scene here in the Stacy Strong Cup Series just a tick too late to be able to witness that stuff. Lights go out on the pace car. Root would like to take the outside lane. Is Schneider going to start to his inside? Heitman takes the outside. Miller goes to the inside. Schneider and Miller have to time this almost dead nut perfect.
Perfect, exactly. And with the restart games that have been going on here, that's going to be easier said than done.
Well, it's the first time tonight Root's had the button.
Right, so what will RJ Root do here? Is that pace car pulls off?
Bet she's counting down for his team.
Not too sure on that.
Schneider didn't get going. And I guarantee you, Jeremy Miller's about ready to start kicking puppies right now.
Yeah, Schneider kind of got caught sleeping. However, he's going to rebound nicely. Is he's going to get P2 here. That's going to leave the 30 of Miller and Heitman in a side-by-side drag race, and that's going to be the same for Cody Colley and Sean Rogers as well. And here comes the 30 on the outside. Look at Schneider continuing to impress with the power move over RJ Root. What a pass by the 0-2.
Well, that 0-2 does have fresher tires. Last time RJ was down was about 30 laps ago for tires, and this time he only took fuel. I bet he's kind of second guessing that right now as he now drops to third. Heitman now all over him, and Heitman and Rogers getting into some mischief there, back for fourth and fifth.
Oh, they certainly are, and they have been over the course of this 154 laps that we've written in the books thus far. Side by side, 2 by 2, the 78 comes up, just ever so slightly, almost gets into Route 3 wide off the corner.
Root wisely backed out of that one.
The 60, how did he keep it on the racing surface? My God.
You guys are picking him up and laying him down right now. And look at the last lap that Schneider just laid down. Holy cats.
A 30.
That was faster. That was faster than his pole time.
Holy Jesus, you are right, Tony. That was his fastest lap. Go ahead.
Pole speed was a 30.8, and it's almost as fast as his pole time. It was a 30.83. I stand correct.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top three, Schneider's fastest lap was an 8.9, Miller's an 8.8, and Sean Rogers at 9.2. I mean, you can't get much closer than that.
And they're the only three guys that have gone sub 31 here tonight.
Correct.
I take that back. Landon Lacey went sub 31 here tonight. He had a 30.90, but he's already put it on the hauler.
Yeah, Landon Lacey had a strong early run here, and then just misfortune as he finds himself part of the attrition column here. Taking a look back at the weather, that track temp continues to come down.
It's gone up a little bit because it was 102 when we had the
that's right,
the caution where you weren't here. But the sun's peeking out. You can see the brightness reflecting on some of these cars. So the sun starting to heat things up in 3 and 4 anyways.
Yes, we're now past the 4 o'clock hour in sim time. As you see, 16:18 on the timer. That's military time, but I'll convert it for you guys at home. That's just after 4 p.m. in sim time. There's Seba Cornez hovering just outside the top 10 there in 11th. There's Raymond Root, now finds himself mired all the way back into 14th, trying to hang on for a top 15 right now.
Doing what he can. Oh, Ken Ron gets it all wrong. How did nobody collect him?
How did he? How many times have we said that tonight?
A lot. Steve Herron and Rafael Rodriguez going after each other now. Herron gets by the Herron gets by the 60. The 60's not having a good time of it right now.
No, as he about 10 laps ago, he got bad out of shape. He had to collect it as he went, took it almost down to the fringe of the asphalt there to collect that race car. Rafael Rodriguez, but yet still finds himself having a decent run here as he's in that 15th position right now in the 60.
I'll tell you who's having a great run right now is that man out of Walton, Kentucky, rocking the Superflow colors on the Camaro. That is Cody Colley. Currently running in 7th spot, sits plus 18. Cody started almost dead spanking last of this piece tonight.
Yeah, he started off in the woods. He was able to drive this super flow Chevrolet Camaro up inside the top 10, well inside the top 10, up 18 spots in 7th.
He was one of the guys that did not take part in qualifying.
Some of these guys, I think, just really pride themselves or enjoy, you know, going from the back of the field to the front, as crazy as that may sound. But Cody Colley, you know, Tanner Marty, I mean, no stranger to doing that. We've seen that time and time again. And ironically, they run nose to tail. Marty up 8 spots, Cody Colley up 18 spots.
There is T-Mart in the the Nitro Camaro. And don't look now, but look who's coming. Both the South Americans, Eugenio Alonso in 9th, Seba Cornez in 10th. Seba's got some breathing room behind him, and he's got about a second and a quarter over Jeff Carson right now, who runs in 11th, sitting +9. That's still pretty impressive.
Yeah, Brother Carson still having a good run here. In the 11th place position, one of the few Toyotas in the field. It's still crazy to say that if you go back to where we started.
Only 3 of them left.
That's it, 3 Toyotas. And Tony, you couldn't shake a stick and get away from them in Daytona. Not the case anymore.
True story. As right now it's just Seba Cornez, Chris Claude, and Jeff Carson, the only 3 rocking the import brand here in Stacy Strong Cup Series action. And something we don't normally get to see, there are more bow ties than there are blue ovals here tonight.
That's a great point, Tony. Yeah, the Chevrolet's outbesting the Fords in competition as far as counts considered.
13 Chevys, only 10 Fords.
I think that has to be the first for the Chevrolets in this series.
Yeah. Checking back in with the 77 of Rich Jett as he's working around the 8 of Gangler. That is for position, by the way, as they are the last 2 cars being scored on the lead lap.
Yeah, last 2 cars on the lead lap. Don't tell Godzilla that and Rich Jett. I mean, he is fighting that 8 hard right now, side by side at the start-finish line. Let's see how Godzilla sent it down here into 1.
Ford on Chevy action, as they've got the lap car Nick Stein right in front of them. And that, it breaks my heart every time I've got to say those words.
Yeah, you don't say lap car of Nick Stein very often.
It's Root and Fitting going after each other now. I'm thinking RJ Root might be second-guessing his choice to not take tires that time.
Yeah, and then look who's trying to come up the middle there, almost forcing a 3-wide situation. That's Ken Ron.
And Chris Claude's in the mix
as well. Yeah, Claude's right there.
Everybody except Root came down on the previous caution on lap 148 and took 4 tires.
Well, I don't think he'll be doing that again.
Well, I mean, it's still early enough in the race that, you know, and he trusts his setup enough to know that he's not going to go a lap down before the stage caution.
Right.
But he's got the data of what 30-lap-old tires compared to new tires are going to do. And he's got 4 sets on pit road. Everybody else only has 3 left.
3. So that is a great point. He's going to have an extra stack of tires, 4 to be exact, on pit road. Should we get into a situation here at the end where, you know, that could essentially be a joker or a wild card up his sleeve, depending on how the cards fall.
But with as deep as he's running in this field right now, and with as hungry as those guys behind him are to say, hey, I passed RJ Root.
Right.
I mean, that's a feather in your cap in any series. If you can pass a guy like RJ Root, you know, like, hey, I got him. Yeah, he's on older tires, but I still got him.
Yeah, I mean, you got Ron Fitting trying to get it done right. Oh, they touch. That's going to make Ken Ron really jump on the binders there in the 33. That's going to allow Chris Claude in the 10
Scared the
to
shit
get
out of
by
Root.
on the bottom.
Scared
Oh, yeah, that's
scared
good.
the bejesus out of Chris Claude, too, as now he's got to deal with Ken Ron, who is outside, as they both jumped on the binders because they were fearing the worst. And that is your battle right now for 17th and 18th, as Ron's on the top shelf. Chris is sitting with the bottled water on the low shelf, because really, who wants to try to put a case of bottled water on a high shelf?
Oh.
Okay.
Well, we almost had that question answered in real time.
We're still 13 laps to go in this stage, and these guys are racing it like it's the final lap.
I mean, the 33 of Ron, Ken Ron, that is, and then Ron Fitting in the 3, the 30 and the 33. And the man who's got VIP front row tickets to this battle right off the tail of Chris Claude in the 10. You know he's got to be sitting there. His nerves are probably through the roof right now watching this unfold.
You're probably spot on with that segment, as Ron Fitting completely blows the entry into 3, sends it right up the track, and that's going to let Claude get by him. Fitting back to 18th, Root to 15th, Ken Ron to 16th, Chris Claude to 17th. As we're checking in the battle just outside your top 10, that's Rafael Rodriguez in the 60, Jeff Carson in the 9, and the 80 of Mark Johnson, all right on top of each other back there.
Yeah, literally racked and stacked on top of one another. Jeff Carson, one of the long ball boys, one of the guys we see typically that's stronger over the course of the long run in that TRD Toyota Camry there, sitting there in 12th out there on the racetrack. Mark Johnson, though, Johnston trying to make that, make me eat my words and move him back to the 13th place position. Is he going to go to the top side of the racetrack here and see if he can get a run on the 9? But a great defend from Jeff Carson, corner exit, is now taken back up to the front. And the 55 of Sprumer all over the back of Estrom.
Sprumer being scored as the 55, has 19 on the door. Edstrom currently running in 5th. And they've got Tanner Marty right there with him. Cody Colley's not too far back there. But what a run out of Colley right now. Currently sits in 8th, plus 17. I mean, that's just unbelievable when you break it down.
It really is, Tony. And,
10 to go.
The scary part is like you said, 10 to go on the stage. That 56 Chevrolet keeps getting better. The longer these guys run, the better that Camaro seems to get. His last time by here, the 56 machine laid down a 31.78. I mean, you got cars inside the top 5 that are flirting with those times. So Cody Colley, definitely could have a piece here to be content with, or to be contended with, before we close this one out.
Well, he was almost half a tenth quicker than Tanner Marty in front of him that last time by.
Right.
The guy who was even quicker, Eugenio Alonso.
And he's one back of Cody Colley. He's the 86. You can see him just coming into the picture there.
Good recovery drive for him right now. And
Absolutely.
Marty picks up a tenth on Colley that time.
It's almost loses it off the corner.
He's right on the ragged edge here. We are fast approaching 5 to go in the stage.
Yeah, that car is looking for some poly grip because he is right on the edge. You're right, Tony.
The big battle right now is going on in front of these guys as Edstrom continues to hold Spomer off. But Marty fell in the rear view mirrors of his fellow Chevy driver. And this is a vastly different dichotomy in the top 10 than we're used to seeing, as Marty runs Spomer up the track coming off of 4.
Yeah, look what happened to Nathaniel Spooner there. I mean, he literally got nerfed up the racetrack by Tanner Marty.
Right now, we are closing in. We are going to be 5 to go next time by. Stage caution set to come out at the end of lap 185, sorry.
Yeah, 185, and they're driving like it's 1 to go at times in the race. Tanner Marty all over the back now of Estrom. You know he wants to finish inside the top 5. He does not want to give that spot up to Marty.
Well, Marty was 2/10 quicker that last time by. Flirting with 3/10 quicker.
And Tony, you know what I'm going to say here. The numbers don't lie.
No, they don't. But these guys are just flat picking them up and laying them down. As Schneider has carved out a 1.5 seconds over Miller, who's a 1.5 seconds over Rogers, who's a second and 3/4 over Heitman, who's 2.5 seconds over this battle for 5th between Edstrom and Marty. As Edstrom clawed a little bit back there that last lap, but we were coming to 3 to go. And just like that, Edstrom looks like he may have tried to cool his tires off a little bit. Kind of backed out of it as, yeah, Edstrom gained 2/10 on Marty that time. So definitely cutting back into it. Checking back in with Eugenio Alonso running in 9th. He and Cody Colley running stem to stern right now as they are really starting to turn the wick up here. As a matter of fact, 2 of the fastest cars on track last time by were the 56 and the 86. Colley having connection issues. That's got to be unnerving for Alonso. Let's check back in as Marty starts to reel Edstrom back in. This is about to get very fun. And I may have lost Matt again. Not yet. We're getting there. Going back, Eugenio Alonso and Cody Colley side by side. White flag is out for the stage. Alonso gets 8th. Colley back to 9th. And here he is coming out of 4. Green and white checkered flag in the air. Give this one to Schneider. Started on the front row, wins stage 2. Finishing 2nd to Jeremy Miller in stage 1. There is Miller. Taking a quick look at your finishing order here in the there we go. Schneider, Miller, Rogers, Heitman, Edstrom, Marty, Spomer, Alonso, Colley, and Cornez getting the final point. With that, we are going to step away, pay a couple bills, and we'll be back right after this. We are back at Loudon, round number 19 of the Stacy Strong Cup Series. I'm George Basso, he's Matt Metler, and we're reaching out now to the man who just won Stage 2. I believe you've got Jacob Schneider with you now, Matt.
That's right, Jacob Schneider, the South Carolina Greenville native, has the hottest car here in New Hampshire at the time being. Jacob, that car looks bad fast. You got the secret sauce in that to get it home the rest of the way tonight?
Yeah, the Prodigy and Ryka boys got me a pretty easy and fast car to drive, so I'm just holding the steering wheel.
You said it best right there, holding the steering wheel. That car looks so smooth out there, especially, on old tires. How big of a tire fall off is there right now, especially with these sunny conditions out there and that asphalt being well north of 100 degrees?
It's pretty bad. You just got to take care of them early, and it'll come back to you at the end.
All right, well, best of luck rest of the way. That pace car is about to pull off. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, your Stage 2 winner, Jacob Schneider.
If I can get my fingers to work properly. But, Matt, you heard it there, What more can you ask for from a team?
You really can't. And, the man isn't fluffing. That's about as honest as you're ever going to hear a race car driver be in a mid-race interview.
Whereas his teammate did nothing but fib to us.
Well, speaking of potential fibbers, there's Jeremy Miller on the bottom. They're going to line up side by side and look at the 0-2 shoot out of the hole like a groundhog on Groundhog's Day. Here comes the 30 of Miller. Whoa, look at the 44 of Rogers. Did he thread the needle or what?
He absolutely did. Is now Edstrom and Heitman going door to door. Prodigy on Prodigy action, but how about Rogers holding a strong podium right now, breaking up that Ford dominance in the top 5. Marty and Spomer heating things up now as well.
Yeah, Spomer and Marty, they have consistently moved their way methodically towards the front of this field over the course of the race. Perhaps we'll have some new lookers here inside the top 3, perhaps even at the lead before this one's in the bag. But you're right, these two Chevrolet Camaros right here, Tony, and right behind them, they're bringing Eugene Alonso with them.
Alonso's got to be careful, though, because he's got a very hungry Stevie Cornez all over his back bumper right now.
Man's always hungry.
And don't look now, but here comes Cody Colley as well, flirting with the top 10 again. Alonso working the outside on Spomer. Contact off of 2.
Hold your breath, boys. We still got north of 100 laps to go in this cookie. You see the 55 there of Spomer, the 86 of Alonso. Here comes bad Seba Cornez, and bad as in bad fast. Jeff Carson throwing his hat into the mix as well. A lot of these drivers, we haven't talked a lot about them, Tony, but every time we do go back through the field, these drivers have been creeping up and up throughout that scoring pylon. They still got plenty of time to get there. Should we have some altercations at the front of the field? These guys are putting themselves in position. One man that has to have another heck of a recovery drive again from that tire blunder, or perhaps just a test gone wrong.
It was a test gone wrong, and then he had to repair some damage under that pit stop. Spent 29.5 seconds in his box.
RJ Root keeps digging himself in holes tonight, one way or the other. Some of his doing, some aren't. But I think he's passed more cars than anyone tonight. Whoa!
Ken Ron has it all wrong going into 3, and I think Root spooked him.
Probably.
Oh, here we go. Mark Johnson uses Ken Ron as a pick to get by both Ron and Rodriguez.
I don't want to do that lap again. Oh, my goodness. I think you're right. Root spooked him.
And Johnson pounced.
Yeah, he had to pounce big time because it was pounce or be punished.
True story. So here's the good news. Everybody foreign fuel that last time down pit road.
Yeah, no one went Las Vegas mode on us here. And there's Cody Colley from Walton, Kentucky, doing the Colonel proud because he's there in 11th in that 56 Superflow Chevrolet. Jeff Carson, what you doing way down there, bud?
Had problems coming off a 2, had to chase it down the track, kept it out of the grass though. That's the good news. Here's the bad news. Carson gets back by him, and here comes Jett on the outside. RJ Root there as well. And that's the 82 of Nick Stein. Stein has had pace. It's just he got collected early.
Yeah. Doesn't that seem to be part of the Nick Stein saga as of recent? He's either up in the booth talking to us, or there's just mayhem on the racetrack that, you know, he seems to find himself getting caught in. Now he's in a door-to-door tango here with Godzilla, a.k.a. Rick Jett, side by side, and Jett is not just going to roll over and give him the spot, mainly because he know who he's got behind him, the Pied Piper, RJ Root, hot on his heels.
Well, the thing is, Jett and Stein are not for position. RJ Root is, and Stein, you know, is one of the affiliates, a known associate, if you will, of RJ Root.
Correct. As you can see there, that Stein kind of gets right out of the way now that the 77 clears. And RJ Root goes back to work on the back of Rick Jett here again. This right outside the top 10, Tony. That's right around that 12th place position. 11th belongs to Jett. RJ wants it, and he's really trying to take that spot for him right now as they go past the start-finish line, barreling down into 1 and 2 again.
Ford on Chevy action at its finest. An absolute brawl going on back there just outside the top 10. As Cody Colley, right in front of these guys, is in 10th. So they're both thinking, well, I got to run him hard, and then I got to get by Colley. And Colley has not made it easy for anybody to get by him here tonight. He's got a fast whip. He just didn't post a time in qualifying, which is why he started almost shotgun on the field earlier.
Yeah, literally, he started in dead last or second to last, if I remember correctly, Tony.
It was something like that. It was way deep in this field.
Yeah, it was back there. I mean, he was kind of like James Cameron in the Battle of Deep. I mean, he was back there. I mean, he had to come, a ways to even get up into the top 10, let alone where he is right now. Up 15 spots. Cody Colley, biggest mover of the race, I believe, as it stands right now. We've had some bigger movers, but pit stops, caution, attrition. Yeah, he continues to carry the torch in that category. The 56 up 15 spots, currently in 10th. But the man hot on his heels, the last person you probably want to see in the rearview mirror, and that's Cody Colley.
As we check back inside the top 10, that's Spomer and Cornez going after each other like two kids in the backseat of a minivan on summer vacation. We'll keep this up. I'm going to turn this track around, and we're going back home. You're bluffing, Dad, because you want to go to Dollywood just as much as the rest
of us. National Lampoon's Vacation all over it, brother.
You ever been to Dollywood?
Can't say that I have.
I'll tell you right now, if you're an amusement park fan, you owe it to yourself to go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
I didn't even know where it was. Now I do. Thank you.
The only reason I know where it was is because I subscribe to Everything Auto on YouTube. He owns a tow truck operation that runs around Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Biggest advice I can give you, Matt, if you do go to Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg, pay to park.
You're not humping a half mile?
No, just pay to park. Because
pay to park,
you're going to be humping more than a half mile if they tow your vehicle because you're not parked where you should be.
Oh, one of those deals. Copy 10-4.
Just inside of 100 to go here. We're going to step away, pay our couple of bills for what should be our last break of the night. Stick and stay because you're not going to miss a thing. We're going side by side. We are back at Loudon, New Hampshire, watching this battle right now for 11th and 12th. Cody Colley and Rich Jett going after each other. That is the lap car Nick Stein right in front of them. Stein has had some really good pace all night. It's just he got taken out earlier, and unfortunately just has not been able to recover. He's picked up a few laps back on the field. Still sits about, where are we here? Not quite as far back as he was, but let's go back up here to 7th. That's Spomer and Cornez mixing it up with some lap cars. Spomer gets the run. Closes right back in on Cornez. And right in front of them, Tanner Marty and Brandon Edstrom giving each other all they can handle right now. Here comes Marty up the gut.
Yeah, Marty punches up the gut side by side with the 74 of Edstrom. Gonna get the advantage here, but Edstrom hangs tough on the outside using all that horsepower. But the 29's gonna clear here, take the spot. The Washington native Tanner Marty now cracks the top 5, Tony.
Oh, we're under caution. And it looks like Eugenio Alonso may have gotten involved in that one. Let's see what happens to the 86.
I'm seeing a little bit of a nose job there on the 86.
RJ Root right behind him.
Sends it off into the corner. Oh, he's going to slide up into the 8. Oh, RJ crunch and munch. There goes Alonso. That's where the no job came from.
Pounded the safer barrier on the exit of 2, and just like that, we are back under caution. See, I told you folks you wouldn't miss a thing. But, Matt, we've seen some amazing action here tonight so far, and right now we're seeing wholesale pit stops just past
lap 15.
Getting ready to put 218 in the books. Actually, your leaders are on 218 right now. As everybody brings it pit side, I guarantee you it's going to be called for 4 in fuel right now.
Yeah, this could probably take them to the end.
Doubtful.
Oh, we got some action.
What'd you see?
Did the 10 of Claude perhaps make some contact before the car ghosted out coming to the box?
Well, let's go back and take a look at what did happen to Chris here.
Nope, it looked like it though. Got lucky.
It was darn close. Luckily, the car's inside the white box there. They are what we call ghosted. They're not a physical car, much like the pace car here in iRacing. Chris Claude just able to escape one there. And, we haven't had a chance to talk about Chris too much tonight. He's dropped a couple of spots as of late, but I'll tell you right now, that Fairview, Tennessee Dinsani whip, he stayed out of trouble here tonight. That car looks about as clean, aside from the rubber particles all over the paint scheme, that car is about as pristine as it did when they rolled it off the hauler this morning.
Yeah, and he kind of really prides himself on doing that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can always, if you're a crew chief for Chris Claude, you can really go to the racetrack with peace of mind that over the course of the next week, you're really not going to have to pound the fenders out too much, at least not from his own doing, is that car always usually come home a little dirty, but squeaky clean nonetheless.
This is interesting. Jeremy Miller went fuel only, as did Rafael Rodriguez. They went fuel only.
In the world?
Apparently, Jeremy wanted to experience what RJ had to experience earlier.
Why would anyone want to self-inflict that is beyond me. But his car's been that good.
Everybody else inside on the track took 4 in fuel, except for those 2 guys.
Well, it's going to be Schneider and Miller with the old tires. Everyone else is going to have the good. That's in Goodyear. This ought to be interesting. I can't believe Miller and Schneider stayed out.
Here we go. Lights are out on the pace car. Field's coming out of turn 3 and 4 right now. Miller has the button, electing to take the outside lane. Heitman right on his back bumper. Here we go. Flagger has the green flag in the air. Miller has control, pulls the trigger, and we are back underway.
Well, is it the lane to fame or lane to shame? We're about to find out for Miller and Schneider as he's able to jump out and get the early lead here. 30 goes back to the point. Schneider is in a snooker of a spot right now, fighting hard with Heitman. Is there still door-to-door, side-by-side, just behind Jeremy Miller? And you know he loves seeing this right now, but look at this, even with the pressure from Heitman. Here comes Schneider, doing a crossover maneuver, takes it down low, and he's going to take the spot back from Miller.
Heitman looking to follow him through. Miller, I don't think he wanted to defend that too viciously, but right back to where we started with the exception of Heitman into the top 3. Rogers currently holds down 3rd, and here comes Edstrom to the inside of Miller going into 3.
Yeah, here comes Edstrom right on cue. This is the highest he's been in the scoring pylon in quite some time. The 74 looking for more as he's now piloted himself into that 4th place position. Derek Heitman now going to work on the 0-2 with Schneider. Heitman to the lead. I believe this is his first time he's been out in front.
It is, and he just sat fast lap of the race, 30.84.
Good Lord, these guys are flying at the
I would have
point.
put him on front row had he laid that down in qualifying. Oh! Edstrom just bangs the wall coming off of 4.
Hard, too. Like someone put a zucchini behind a cat.
And you can see that that's pretty pancaked right now on the right side. As here comes RJ Root working the inside of his teammate Jeremy Miller. Tanner Marty's already gotten by. Miller just continuing to backslide right now. He's got to be kicking himself. And yep, that didn't work. As now here comes Steve Cornez all over the back bumper of the 30.
As the 55 of Schumer does the truffle shuffle there, coming off the corner. He had to save it up. Oh, Cornez. He's really getting up into the 30s business there to give himself some separation. Cornez now able to maneuver his way around the 30 of Jeremy Miller. And he says, if I can do it, you can do it too. So here comes Spoomer as well. And Jeremy Miller falling to the back. Oh, tire smoke from the 69 of RJ Root. Did he get into it with Marty?
That's a good possibility. Let me see if I can find it here.
What in the world happened to RJ Root here?
Well, let's take a look if we can see what did happen. No, they're both just sideways off of 4.
Just hard racing between the two of them. They simultaneously lost it.
Team drifting.
Tandem drifting.
That's what I was looking for. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know if I've ever done it, Tony, but I actually was able to do that in Okinawa, Japan at the peak of the Fast and Furious franchise. Around the streets of Nago and the port of Nago. You want to talk about some very critical and very menacing drift courses. Take yourself to Okinawa, Japan. Get yourself a Skyline R32, R33. You can get one of those at the time comparable to about a $4,000 or $5,000 Mustang. R32, under the hood, straight 6. Get yourself a 56, 57 millimeter turbo and take yourself and just send it. That was some of the best times of my life.
And see, the thing is, I where I come from, we always used to make fun of the drifters because, we raced on dirt. I'm like, oh, you do that on asphalt. That's cute. Try doing it on a surface. Constantly changing.
Well, this is true, but hey, when you're as far as away from NASCAR as you possibly could be.
Hey, when in Rome.
Right.
If that's what that's what motorsport looks like, that's what you do. I can't fault anybody for doing it because, you know, I've driven up here in the Northeast in a snowstorm.
The other thing they do over there that was really cool, they take late 80s and early 90s full-size vans, and they road race these things.
Yep, full-size Dodge Ram.
Yes, yes.
The 150, you know, half-ton or half-ton vans, and there's a guy over there that's got a NASCAR engine in one of them.
Yeah, he does. You actually have to pull the shell off to get to the engine. You basically got to take the whole.
No, you just take the doghouse out of the passenger compartment in between the two captain seats. Yeah, I mean, working on a van engine is actually easier than working on a pickup truck.
Yeah, the newer Fords with the diesels, you literally got to take the cab off.
I was going to say, now pulling the engine, that's a different story. Because you actually have to remove the passenger side seat, and hopefully you don't have barn doors. You've got a slider. Because if you got barn doors, you got to take the frontmost passenger door off.
Right. But I'll tell you what, forget a 5-point harness in one of those vans. You want a 10-point harness and a couple handlebars to hold on to. I went for a couple laps in one of those things in a shotgun seat. Tony, that was the wildest ride I've ever been on in my life.
Well, the one thing I would love to do that they don't do over here in the States, they do it, it's big in Europe. They race semi-trucks on road courses.
What?
They race semi-trucks on road courses. Google the phrase Formula Truck.
I'll check that out after this. Now my curiosity is piqued.
They run single screw tractor trailer tractors on Formula One courses.
That is just wild to think about.
Especially when they crash.
I don't know about the crashing side of it, but I know how wild it was in a conversion van. I can't even imagine going around there in a full-size commercial 18-wheeler. Oh, my God.
Well, you don't have the trailer on it, but yeah, I mean, you're still going to have to hustle it.
Well, yeah, you're still in a big ring.
But they limited the power.
What is it, 2,000 horsepower?
Roughly. It's like... there's two different classes. There's a 1,200 Newton meter and a 500 Newton meter division, which equates to roughly about 1,800 horsepower for the big dogs.
That's a lot of ponies. Even because you got to remember, a lot of the weight comes from that trailer that's actually loaded up. So you take that.
There's nothing over the rear axle. A lot of teams were putting wings on the damn things.
Get out of here.
I kid you not.
I got to check this out after this race is over. But right now, look who's in fourth. Battle of the Corn. Seba Cornez up to fourth.
Got Brandon Edstrom trying to hunt him back down. As here we go. Cody Colley working the outside of Jeremy Miller. This is for 10th. Miller led us to the green about 30 laps ago.
Deja vu, perhaps, Tony?
That was about 20 laps ago.
Ooh, almost gets into Cody Colley there. Almost makes contact with the Kentucky native.
He's hustling that car right now. Miller is driving his... Oh! And there it goes.
There it goes. Boom goes the dynamite. Ken Ron's going to come in, get a lick. Caution comes out. Jeremy Miller. You know what? As bad as that was, no one probably wants to come down pit road more and put 4 tires on it. Pilot of that 30.
There you see Miller on the low side. Connolly working the high side.
That's where they touched the first time. And they're going to carry the business right into 1 and 2.
And Miller's just going to lose the back end. Well, he made contact, and he lost the front end. And then got hit by everybody behind him.
Yeah, the old pinball effect goes on for Jeremy Miller.
So a little bit of a reprieve, although he does drop to 17th. Ouch.
17th, but you can betcha when we go back green, he's going to have 4 sticker tires on that race car.
Safe bet.
Safe bet.
Yep, here he comes now. Along with Heitman, Claude, and Rodriguez.
Claude. Yeah, I'm just perplexed at why he decided to do that. I mean, he should have known what was going to happen if he did that. I mean, we've seen that script already play out earlier in the race.
All he had to do was ask RJ.
Which I'm sure he probably did at some point, or you would have thought. But nonetheless here, in the hard battle there with the 54 of Cody Colley, everyone kind of doinks him. Caution comes out. 4 tires and fuel in.
And I'm kind of surprised here that we're not seeing more guys come down. Well, I mean, we are 61 to go.
I would have thought the same, though, Tony. You and I are just getting these pit stops all wrong.
Well,
I would have thought the house would have came.
Well, now hold on, because they're only about 20 laps into this run. So...
Well, that is true.
That's not atrocious. But it's the guys that took fuel only under the last group of pit stops all came down this time to get 4 tires. However, I believe Rich Jett in the 77 might be out of fresh shoes.
Well, that could be it too. Tires are now becoming a premium, as we're now sitting here 59 laps here from the end of this one. Derek Heitman continues to lead over Schneider, Rogers, Cornez, and Estrom. RJ Root in 6th, knocking on the back door of that top 5 spot. And then looking in 7th and 8th, 9th. You got Spoomer, Marty, and Colley. Carson's there in 10th. He's up to 10th now.
He did catch a piece of that one, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I don't see any damage on that Toyota yet. And trust me, folks, the chrome would definitely show the damage. As the sun starts to peek out again, let's take a quick look at the weather. Hey, we're finally under the century mark.
98 degrees. The most grip this racetrack has had all day long, I can assure you that. Because now we're starting to lose the sun a little bit behind the trees here.
Well, you got to wonder, for the money stop that's coming up, are we going to see anybody gamble on 2?
I'm sure someone will try it, Tony, but I know based on what we've seen, there's no way in heck I would.
Well, if you gamble on lefts.
Now there's a thought.
Because some of these cars are getting real loose. If you put lefts on, it's going to tighten the car up.
It's going to tighten the car up, right.
Heitman has the button. Lights are out on the pace car field coming out of turn number 4. Pace car makes that hard left turn down below the mustard stripe. Here we go into the Geico restart zone one more time. Heitman with the trigger, jumps on the loud pedal. We are back underway. Schneider not getting the getaway he was hoping for. That's going to let Rogers get to his inside going into 1.
Look at the gift left wide open for Rogers. He's there. He's actually got 2nd from Schneider. Can Schneider fight back on the top shelf where Mama hides the cookies? He's sure as heck trying. Has Estrom in tow. But the 44 of Rogers says, not today, not yet. I'm not ready to give it to you, buddy. As he edges past the 0-2, can he hold the spot? Can he clear off the corner? And he does. Sean Rogers, the 44 to 2nd.
The highest running Chevy all day long finally moves up from 3rd. But he's got a lot of pressure right now as now Schneider has to deal with Edstrom right behind him. Edstrom looks to the inside, giving Schneider pressure going into 3. Contact!
He hits him. The 74 of Estrom comes up and gets a piece of the 2. The 0-2. Seba Cornez looking to capitalize. He gets McSwirly off the corner. That's going to give the advantage back to Estrom. These guys are slugging it out like it's 5 to go.
And here comes Root on the top side, trying to make it eat. Oy.
Oh, he's making it eat. It might be at Seba's expense if he's not careful.
Well, they call him Toot Toot Root. He's going to give you 2 warning shots. And the third one's going in your ear. Spomer now working the inside in the 16. Root under heavy pressure, and don't look now, but Jeremy Miller is already back into the top 10. Freshest tires in the top 10.
New shoes and confidence and already a bad, fast race car. It's not going to take long. Inside the top 10, I mean, he is already at 8th and looking for more as the 55 and the 69 of Root. Look at him getting squirrely off the corners. 3 wide going into 1. I don't know about this, Tony.
Miller wisely backed out of it, but now he's laying the power in. Almost gets into Spomer. Oy.
That had ugly written all over that. Thank God Miller decided to back out. As now he comes up to the top side, gonna try and push Root past the 55.
Well, hey, I mean, that's what teammates are for, right?
That's right. Give and take, push and shove.
Root is not having a good time of it on that outside lane. I don't think he expected the track to get this cool.
No, you're probably right there, Tony. I don't think we did either. I didn't think we'd see it under 100 degrees.
I actually didn't. I did not. So, and here we go. Miller on Spomer. This is your battle for 6. Miller has the nose out front going into 1 and just sends it.
Making it look easy. Oh, did he overdrive it? Here comes the 55. Oh, he gets loose. That's going to give the advantage back to Miller. Miller now up to 6th. Next car in his crosshairs, the 14, who it's never easy to get by, Cornez.
Well, Cornez has got his attention put squarely on Brandon Edstrom right now, as he has been just harassing the 74 for the last handful of laps.
No! Again.
Contact!
More contact! Caution!
Holy crap on a stick.
Tony, you called that one just as it was about to pop off.
Oh, I was about to go to an onboard with Edstrom. But watch this. Cornez is just going to send it going into 1. Gets Edstrom loose. Root climbs on the binders and makes contact with the 16, sending him around.
The 55 went around as well.
No, that's the 16.
Oh, the 16. I'm sorry. Thank you. A little bit of a number debauchery there.
Yeah, he's going to need to get that fixed for next week.
Which they always often do.
So it's going to pop off in front of him. Oh, and that was Miller that had to stay off of Cornez, not Root. I do apologize, folks. I saw the white and the purple, and my brain shut off.
The same thing.
Everybody doing a great job to stay off of those guys, though. And
I can't drive 55.
And I am completely shocked at this point.
I am too.
Heitman, Rogers, Schneider, Cornez all stayed out. They haven't been down for the last 40 laps. Miller was just down before the caution came out on lap 240. Jett was down on 239. Cowley was 217. Carson was 217. Gangler and Claude both came down on 239. And Rodriguez went fuel only.
What is going on inside the top 10? What in the world?
The inmates are running the asylum.
Heitman, Rogers, Schneider, Cornez, and Miller. Now, we know Miller's driving with a chip on his shoulder right now. That's obvious. But if you would have told me less than 50 laps to go, Heitman, Rogers, and Cornez were going to be inside the top 5, I would have looked at you sideways.
Well, here's the thing. We heard from Jeremy Miller earlier, and he said that they could have made it to the stage break without having to take tires, but they were given a chance to take tires.
So they did.
So Miller can definitely make it home. Heitman, Rogers, Schneider, and Cornez, they're right on that edge.
Yes, the more caution laps we run here, that's going to play into their favor. That's for certain. But still, I can't say enough about Heitman and Rogers here. I mean, the solo Chevrolet, he has been carrying the torch for the Chevrolets, and now suddenly you got Godzilla there in 6th as well.
But Rogers has been carrying the bow tie torch in the top 5 all night.
All night long.
As a matter of fact, I don't think he dropped out of the top 10 at all tonight.
I can't think of a point where he did. You're absolutely right, Tony. So hats off to having the grit of the race award to Sean Rogers, man. He is just putting on probably one of the best performances we've seen all season long from him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The Kalamazoo, Michigan native has been your highest running bow tie since qualifying. Qualified inside the top 5 actually, and no, he qualified in 6th. I'm sorry, but it's still. I mean, it was an amazing qualifying run, and now here we go as we get ready to turn them back loose. Heitman has the trigger. Pace car is in. Here we go into the Geico restart zone one more time.
Does the Kalamazoo man have the plan to get it done here in New Hampshire? But what a restart from Derek Heitman as he unleashes a fury of restarts on the field as he jumps out to a half and caution.
Looks like Chris Claude and RJ Root.
No.
Let's go back and take a look. RJ is going to restart right behind Chris. As Chris stayed out, RJ came down pit road for 4 fresh tires.
Chris didn't go very well. RJ is going to poke his nose 3 wide. Chris came down to block. And boom goes the dynamite, as you like to say.
Yeah, that was a big boom.
Very rarely see Chris Claude throw a block.
Almost never. I think he was trying to get out of the way more than anything.
That's a good possibility. And now RJ comes up. Oh, wait, that's the restart. I'm sorry.
I don't think... Well, the thing is, Chris's spotter wasn't talking to him. The iRacing spotter will not say a word until you get through turn 1 on a restart.
Right.
And I don't think Chris realized RJ was already there. Or else he never would have tried to go down.
Right, like you said, he was probably coming down to get out of the way and just didn't realize RJ was already there. Nonetheless, gets sent off the nose of the 69. We're going to have to re-rack him, restack him, do it again as we're quickly approaching lap 260 here.
RJ's back on pit road to try to get some damage repaired. Oh, yeah, no, he's definitely getting damage repaired. But
Sure.
Heitman going to have to get another restart like he did. And I think he did the right thing that time as he got into the Geico restart zone. He hauled it hard to the left to take the bottom on the front stretch, knowing that nobody can pass him before the start-finish line on, you know, and he wanted to make sure he had that bottom lane cut off just in case Schneider timed it right.
And he did. Certainly did, Tony.
I just thought of something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so without trading paints on, Jacob Schneider is driving an all-orange 02.
Yes, that's how he was before I got my trading paints working correctly.
Right. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to do some digging to find this out. John Schneider has 4 kids, and I got to look up their names because I think one of them is named Jacob. And if I'm not mistaken, they do live in South Carolina. Nope, Mandy, Leah, Chasen, and Karis.
Well, it was a good hunch.
Hey, that would have been the coolest stuff ever.
Yes, sir.
Forgot to ask him when we were talking to him after winning stage 2, but he's got a chance here to polish it off. And look who's back in the top 5. That didn't take long at all.
No, it didn't. He's sitting there in 4th. Top row outside lane 2. And another great restart by Heitman. Is Sean Rogers able to clear Schneider? He is.
And Schneider has to deal with Miller now on the pressure shoes. Oh! Oh, crap. No. No.
They save it. They're still rolling. 3 wide. Oh, look at the 69. Gets a face full of the 60.
That was John Wilco, who just got spat out like yesterday's chewing gum. Let's go back real quick and take a look at what happened to John.
Or leftover fish from Taco Tuesday, one or the other.
No, he just bailed out.
Yeah, I'll say that was a bail of epic proportion. But that causes everyone.
It was Carson that got spit out. As we go back live, Heitman continuing to show the way. Top 5 have gotten single filed out. Uh-oh. Gangler having connection issues. Alonso working the inside of him. And here comes Cornez as well to follow his fellow South American through.
And follow through, he does. Crossover move attempted by RJ Root. As he's going to get by the 8, Tanner Marty's going to come with RJ on the bottom here. As RJ now finds himself back in 9th. I mean, this man has been all over the field multiple times tonight. My goodness. Here comes Miller.
Maybe a beautiful day in the neighborhood, but Miller's looking to spoil the fun of Rogers.
Oh, they touch. They high-five each other.
Rubbin's racing, brother.
And that it is.
That was just hard racing. There was no malice behind that. It was, you
know. That's just going for it. That's full send out there on the racetrack. That's not going to hurt nobody. A little door banging, that's all a part of it. You're absolutely right, Tony.
And it's RJ Root now working on Seba Cornez. They both get by Eugenio Alonso. As Root now up into 7th, but he's got yeoman's work to do to catch the top drivers, as he's over 3 seconds off the lead right now. But never count RJ Root out.
Never count him out till that checkered flag flies. You're absolutely right. But he's got stiff competition ahead of him. Next up, he's going to have the 74 of Brandon Estrom. If he gets by Estrom, he's going to have Godzilla, Rick Jett, and then you have the 4 drivers there are some of these guys that have just been the talk of the race. Schneider, Rogers, Miller, and Heitman. That's some very stiff competition for RJ Root to get through. Is now the 0-2 of Rich Jett all over the back, starting to pour the pressure on Schneider.
Definitely not what Schneider wants to see out of his rear view mirror as he's looking back at Rich Jett. But, you know, Schneider sits in 4th, Jett sits in 5th, is your biggest mover at plus 16.
Jacob Schneider stole my haircut. Yeah. The man from Greenville, South Carolina. He has had a blistering fast race car here tonight. He finds himself there in 4th, going on board with him, looking out the back at the front of Godzilla, a.k.a. Rick Jett, in the 77, who is in 5th, up 16 spots, Tony.
That's impressive. Who says you can't pass at Loudon?
Don't tell Rich Jett that.
Never plan to. Because these guys love making a liar out of me.
They always do.
Jett giving Schneider all he can handle right now. He's going to have to get that sorted out pretty quick, because those are two angry wolves behind both of them in the form of Brandon Edstrom looking to win his home race, running in 6th right now. RJ Root with him there in 7th. Both Edstrom and Root are back even with the board. That's where they qualified. Same thing goes for Jeremy Miller, who runs in 2nd.
Yeah, who would have thought basically 270 laps into this thing, Edstrom, Root, and Miller would all be even with the board.
Heitman sits plus 3 in the lead. Let's take a rundown of your top 10 right now. There is Heitman. Sits plus 3, showing the way here. Miller's even with the board in 2nd after winning stage 1. Rogers, been your strongest running Chevy all night long.
Yep.
And the man out of Kalamazoo currently sits plus 5. Jacob Schneider has dropped 1 from where he started as he runs in 4th. Rich Jett, of course, we mentioned your biggest mover in the Godzilla Chevy, sits plus 16 in 5th. Edstrom, even with the board in 6th. And just as I say that,
going for the spot.
He's now working on Jett right now. Has the nose out front. So Edstrom now sits plus 1. Jett drops to plus 15 in 6th. And that's not going to last too long, because here comes Mr. Excitement, RJ Root. He sits even with the board currently in 7th place. Steve Cornez is plus 4 up to 8th after starting 12th. Eugenio Alonso is plus 1 back in 9th. And Tanner Marty, you know, we haven't talked a lot about Tanner tonight, but he's had a strong run going. He sits plus 6 in 10th.
Yeah, Marty's had a strong run. Alonso, Spoomer, I mean, all these guys have had great runs here tonight. And if you go back a little further in the field there, Cody Colley in the 56 Superflow machine, Ron Fitting and Ken Ron, I mean, those guys have just about been somewhat involved one way or the other. It seems about the past 3 or 4 cautions, and that's cost them some track position as they've had to take extended time on pit road to get those cars fixed back up. So what could have been for them?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. As Steve Cornez makes quick work of Rich Jett, 20-lap newer tires for the 14. As Jett's starting to fall off pace now.
Well, like you said, 40-lap fresher, Goodyear Eagles. I mean, that's a lot here at this racetrack. Look who's pulling out to pass here. Push to pass button engage for RJ Root. That's more of a Formula One thing. I understand that, but it looked like he had one in the side of his car.
Well, no, push to pass is IndyCar. DRS is Formula One.
Or DRS, thank you, Tony.
And that's the coolest thing to watch. That's one thing that has gotten me back into watching Formula One, is when they go into a DRS zone and you see the back wing just open right up and go flat.
Yep, no downforce. Looks like a McLaren.
Looks like a McLaren?
Yeah. McLaren has that wing that will, not only come up and produce downforce, it'll go flat.
They're street cars.
Correct. Yeah, the street car, right.
I was going to say, yeah, they've got it too. Everybody's got it in Formula One.
Yeah, right. But as far as a street car goes, I mean, as far as having a fancy spoiler, I mean, the McLaren, you'll have no spoiler, you'll have a spoiler, and if you get into a hard braking zone, that spoiler will actually come full tilt, full face up.
Slams back shut.
Slams back shut to help balance the race car out as the McLaren, most of the weight's over the front, because those are carbon fiber bodies on those race cars, or those street cars. Is RJ Root now routing towards the front here late as he's putting the move on, or trying to put the move on Rockin' Rogers. This is the battle for fifth.
Not such a beautiful day in the neighborhood for Sean Rogers anymore, as he now drops to fifth, and he's got Jacob Schneider reeling him in, but Schneider has to deal with a very hungry Siva Cornez. As Cornez just pressuring Zero Deuce here in the closing laps.
Cornez is always hungry. I don't care where you put this man. Road course, super speedway, the flats in New Hampshire, he's always on the prowl.
He is at that, but right now they have whittled into the lead of Derek Heitman.
Yes, that they have, but surprisingly, still able to best the 30 of Jeremy Miller. And don't look now, Tony, SRM and RJ Root are coming.
Yeah, they are. Two of the fastest cars on track last time by, with a 30.5 and a 30.4 between the two of them. They were the two fastest cars on track. Miller with a 13.5, Heitman with a 13.5. But Root giving Edstrom all he can handle right now, is the two of them have already whittled a full second out of Heitman's lead.
Now, this is where they got to be careful, Tony, not to cut you off. RJ and Estrom can't get into a micro battle of their own out there on the racetrack. Who's ever faster, just let them go and keep running down those leaders. Do not get yourself caught up in a you versus him, because time's running out here. We're already at lap 280, approaching lap 281. That's 20 laps to go, and Heitman still has a 2-second lead over these guys, if not a little bit more. So they got to get this sorted out and go run down the leader.
Well, here's the thing. With a top 5 finish, Edstrom is going to take over the points lead, as Alex Murray did not make the call here in New Hampshire. And he came into tonight second in points.
Yeah, the Fury man himself, Alex Murray, not get skinny.
Root doing everything he can not to turn Edstrom. Going to look to the inside. Edstrom's going to squeeze him down.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No room for mistakes there.
No, and I mean, this is just killing. I'm sorry, but this is just killing the chances of the 69 and the 74. Now, if they're not playing for a W, different story. But if I'm the 74, I'm going to let Root go here, finally, how he does. Oh, look at this. The 74 charges back with a great run on quarter exit. Never mind. These two are content just battling out like Donkey Kong here.
Well, now here's the thing. Root's currently sitting in third in points coming into tonight. Right. And he's only 5 markers off of Edstrom.
So they could be looking at this as a point from a points perspective. You're absolutely right, Tony.
It's really going to tighten that points battle up at the top of this piece. Murray's not here. Edstrom and Root are going after each other. Miller currently sits in second, and Siva Cornez in the top 10 as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. But, I mean, these two are throwing Mortal Kombat style finishing moves at one another. Can they hang on and dogfight like this for another 18 laps? Because this has allowed the 44 now of Sean Rogers to come back in the picture.
That had bad intentions written all over it.
Cruel Intentions, if you like the movie.
Edstrom and Root, the battle for third rages on as we are 17 to go.
How did RJ Root save that race car? He had the death drift going on and somehow piloted his way out of it.
And here comes Mr. Trolley himself, Sean Rogers, up the inside. Root caught on the outside.
Gut. Almost a slight door check there. Did RJ Root use up all of his stuff?
That's a good possibility with as hard as he's been running since the green flag came back out. I mean, he started deep in that restart.
He was, and he was battling like there was no tomorrow with the 74 of Estrom.
Rogers on the low side, Root on the top shelf, and here comes Seba Cornez looking to get into the top 5 as well. And never count out Tanner Marty in that Chevy back there in 7th.
Yeah,
they are all right there.
All right there. They're on top of each other now, smothered and covered. Here comes the 44 charging up the gut. Here comes Seba right along with him. If the 44 makes a mistake, Seba Cornez is there to capitalize. And so is Tanner Marty.
Looks like the 44 may have gotten loose off a 2. That's going to let Cornez peek to the inside. But that opens the door for Marty to get to the outside of Cornez. Cornez down on the flat. That's not where he wants to be. As we are 14 to go, Cornez drops to 7th.
Yes, Cornez drops to 7th from a slipstream maneuver from Tanner Marty in the 29 ride. Look at him charging in through the field right now. He is getting a ton. Oh, the 69 goes for a ride again into the grass. Caution comes out. RJ Root not going to make contact. Well, Tony, you saw that one coming a mile away. There was no way those guys were fighting that hard for 18 minutes.
No, not at all. And, you know, that all had to do with the 44 giving Root a lot of pressure. And he kind of had to because the 29 was pressuring him. It became go time. And Root, the back end just stepped out. And absolutely nothing he could have done to save that at that point and not get collected by everyone else.
Yeah, as he went to throttle up, the back stepped out from underneath him. And that's you know, Tony, let's just call it how it is. That's really easy to do here at New Hampshire.
Almost too easy.
So 13 laps to go. Yellow back in the air. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to turn into the right. Whoa, look at this.
Edstrom stays out. He might be out of tires. But everyone else brings it down.
And there's the 82, going to get one of his lap backs.
Now sits only 2 laps down.
Only 2 laps down. And
he was Tony, 10 at one point.
If this is a caution fest here, getting down to the end of this, I mean, who would have thought? But not Edstrom. Oh my God.
Stein,
thank you. Stein could actually get back on the lead lap.
It's a possibility, and I hope we don't see that many more cautions. No offense, Nick, but...
Well, I agree, Tony. Now, here's the biggest question we probably have had to ask ourselves all race long. We know Edstrom wants to win this race. We know he wants to win this race bad. Ken Ron now up there with him. Ron Fitting, Chris Claude is in 4th now. A lot of new faces inside the top 5. Brandon Edstrom is going to have that window of safety between himself and the new tires. We still have more caution laps here we're going to have to navigate through. When we go back to green here, it's going to be a 9-10 lap shootout Friday night under the lights style. Is this the perfect recipe for Brandon Edstrom to get this win, or do those new tires prevail?
Well, I think the fact that so many people went with him, you know, he's got some breathing room because the highest up that Heitman on the fresh tires is going to be able to start is 5th.
Is 5th, right. Now, if this goes green, this is really playing into the hand of Brandon Edstrom. if we get a couple restarts here and those new tires are able to eat through that that ironclad curtain, if you will. Now, we use that in a different reference, a different purpose earlier on in the season when we were talking about Prodigy Esports.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandon Astrom just may have written himself into the winner's circle here if everyone plays nice here and the cards fall as Brandon has written them or laid them to, or basically plotted out.
Well, you got to wonder, you know, is he trying to bluff his way to a win here? As we're going to restart.
Could be.
With 9 to go. Edstrom has control of the field. Ken Ron was last down on 251. Chris Claude was last down on 239.
Yeah, how about those guys in second and third? Ken Ron, Chris Claude, great to see you up here inside the top 3 battling for a podium position. We go back to green. When these guys start barking fire, going to be 9 to go, Tony.
And I can tell you right now, Claude better have this restart down pat because that's an angry Jeremy Miller right behind him.
Furious.
Pace car is in.
Comes up and bumps. The 78 green flag and what a restart up for the 74 of Brandon Estrom. Look at Chris Claude. What a move by the 10. Jeremy Miller tries to come up with Chris Claude. Is he going to make
4 wide?
4 wide at New Hampshire? Are you serious? And we get through. There's still 3 wide.
Miller on the fresh shoes, already up into second. Heitman sits in third. Edstrom just has to hold on for 8 more laps.
8 more laps, and you got the 30 of Jeremy Miller coming on a new fresh set of Jordans.
We're under caution.
Mind. There's a big mess. That's clogged. Like the 95 going through Boston.
Well, keep your eye on Tanner Marty in the 29. He's going to get put in a 3-wide situation. The 44 gets loose. Marty gets into him. And Eugenio Alonso gets turned.
Yeah, that's just a late race deal there.
Something happened with Cody Colley and Ken Ron as well. There you see Ron in the GoPro 33. Colley in the Superflow 56. RJ Root digging on the bottom there, as is Rich Jet. Oh, okay. So Colley just turned Ken.
Pretty much.
Great googly moogly.
I forget what movie that's from. There's another look at it from the eye in the sky. And there she goes, and there they go. Brandon Estrom still has the lead, but he has got to be sweating bullets right now because he has the 30 of Jeremy Miller, Heitman in the 78, Seba Cornez, and Jacob Schneider.
Well, here's the thing, Matt. We're going into a natural green-white checker finish.
Right.
We should get 1 to go at about 3 to go.
Oh, 3 to go. Now, do they go quickie yellow here? That's the question.
I would say no because I don't believe there is race control tonight. Don't quote me on that.
Oh, that's a great point, Tony. So there is no option for quickie yellow here. So you're right.
If there is race control, they're not up in the booth in Discord.
Yeah, I'm seeing that as well. So that right there is saving grace for Estrom because we've seen what Miller was able to do with a lap and a half, 2 laps there.
Yeah, Miller just got up into second from starting 7th.
Lane choice critical here for the 74.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the thing is, they do have a choose cone, I believe. Don't quote me on that, though. But if Miller elects to not go to the outside, that's going to open the door for Heitman And Miller kind of has to time it with Edstrom. He's going to have the best spot to kind of get there if he starts behind Edstrom as opposed to next to Edstrom.
Pardon me 1 second here. My son has had a 5-alarm explosion.
Oh, boy. So top 10 as they currently sit: Edstrom, Miller, Heitman, Cornez, Schneider, Root, Rodriguez, Jett, Rogers, and Tanner Marty able to recoup up to 10th. Eugenio Alonso going to restart in 12th. And lights are out on the pace car. We're going to have a green-white checker, hopefully. With overtime available if we need it. Hopefully we don't. So 3 green flag laps is all Brandon Edstrom has to hold on as Miller goes to his outside. Cornez going to slot in right behind Miller as Heitman slots in behind Edstrom. This is going to be a slugfest. Absolute, Katie bar the door. Here come the natives. Pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn. There. Nope. Come on. There it goes below the mustard stripe. Edstrom brings him into the Geico restart zone. Jumps on the loud pedal. Heitman not able to get the getaway he was hoping for. That's going to let Miller throw the block going into 1. And here comes Cornez on the outside. Schneider working the inside on Cornez. They almost get into each other. And RJ Root looking to make it 3 wide, thinks better of it. Slots in behind Schneider. Miller's around. Good grief. Spomer catching a piece of it. Fitting. Mark Johnson all catching a piece of that one.
What in the world did I just miss?
Cody Colley catching a piece. Well, Jeremy Miller got turned.
30 and Miller. Oh, my goodness. So we're back here on the SRM instant replay, and we are.
Miller in the middle. He's trying to stay off of Edstrom and just gets help from the 78, and then all hell breaks loose.
Oh,
that
my.
is what you call a Waffle House situation, boys and girls.
Yep.
The track is scattered, smothered, and covered with wreckage.
That is a loaded potato that just got...
So let's watch this again. We were watching the battle back there for 4th, 5th, and 6th. And it popped off right in front of these guys.
Right at the front of the field. Oh, my goodness.
Wait a second. No. No. RJ Root just got the Dairy Queen Award.
No. Too many points disqualified.
Let's see if we can watch it here. There it is. That's what got him, was that second hit on Schneider.
The one hit was okay. Second hit, goodbye. Oh, it's a tough night. Ends in heartbreak for one of the hardest driving
SOBs in the league.
Yeah. Now Brandon Edstrom in the 74. Can he do it one more time here? Is now we are going to go into a green-white checkered situation. Ouch.
Well, that was some dirty pool.
Cody Colley just
Steve Herring just turned him.
I mean, he blasted. Watch this again, folks.
Watch the Monster Energy number 89. He's going to go down, change lanes at the last second, throws the block, gets into the 86, takes the air off the splitter.
He doinks him again.
Doinks him again, sends him up into the wall, and just like that, Cody Colley hand grenades an engine.
You hear it blow up.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to rack them, stack them, and try it again. We are going into overtime. So Miller done and dusted.
Cody, what do you think? Is the wild corn loose? Seba Cornez?
Hey.
He's going to, hey, you never know.
Could Rich Jett pull off a victory?
Anything's possible right now.
He's there. Everybody around Brandon Edstrom right now.
Fresh tires.
30 lap fresher tires.
I mean, Seba Cornez, Rick Jett, Tanner Marty, Schneider. I mean, some of these guys are poised for probably the biggest upset win of the season, perhaps.
Well, I mean, it would be Edstrom's fourth, I think.
You know, if Edstrom doesn't win here.
It'll be his third.
Yeah, that would be his third win.
If he does hang on.
If he does hang on, but if he doesn't,
oh yeah,
look at the damage on the front of Godzilla as the pace car pulls off. They get into the Geico restart zone. Edstrom wastes no time. What a restart by Brandon Edstrom. Are you serious? That man just walked the dog like everyone else was caught on the snooze button on Monday morning.
Oh, they absolutely were. But here comes Schneider. Going to wrestle second away from Cornez. Cornez slots into third. And here comes Rodriguez.
What in the? Here comes Rodriguez. Like Tony said, where did he come from?
Coming out of turn number 4. They just have to keep it clean. 100 more yards.
To the line. No caution flag.
We are racing back to checkers.
Racing back to checkers one more time for Brandon Edstrom. What a story would this be if he is able to make it through 3 more corners here from New Hampshire. Here comes Schneider. Here comes Cornez. They're wrecking behind him. Multiple cars in the fence. This is for the win. Here comes the 0-2. Is he going to move him? Oh, no! Shenanigans. This is the 74's race to lose. Drag race, home stretch. The 14 slideways gets into the 16. At the line, it's mayhem. All the cars scatters as Brandon Edstrom pulls off the win in Lobsterland. Are you kidding me?
Holy crap on a cracker, Batman.
What a last lap of action. Tony, you're going to be busy with this one.
Well, here they are coming to the white flag. That's Miller back there. As it looks like he and Alonso may have gotten into each other. Alonso has to chase it down the track off of 4. And they are just beating and banging up here.
Rafael Rodriguez comes home second.
Oh, Miller got sideways and gets into Alonso.
The 89 spinning. At 33, literally lawn darts into the wall. So does the 0-2. Major impacts. Watch this again from the blimp. Watch the 33 and the 0-2.
Well, no, we're watching the 14 and the 0-2.
Oh, 14 and the 0-2. Thank you.
There they go. They took the white flag. We're racing back to checkers at this point. All hell breaks loose behind them on the exit of 2.
Yeah, we say checkers or wreckers. Well, we had both.
And these guys are racing for the win here tonight at Loudon.
So you can't hold anything back. Got to pull out all the stops.
Oh. Okay, so the 0-2 jammed on the binders to try to not turn Edstrom.
Edstrom, right.
And Cornez just blasted him.
Oh. You know what? I still got to say that's a heads up. One hell of a competitor there for 14 wanting to do it the right way. Want to wreck Edstrom for the win.
Well, no, that was the 0-2 that didn't want to wreck him for the win. Then he gets loose and just barely edges out Tanner Marty. 1/1000th of a difference between Cornez and Marty at the line.
Yeah, that's as close as you're ever going to be. But, Tony, how about Brandon Estrom? What a drive. What a comeback. I didn't think he had the car to beat, but this man always thrills in prime time. Brandon Estrom from Springfield, Vermont. This has to be a home track win for him, or considered to be a home track win for this kid.
Well, why don't you ask
What
him?
a drive.
Oh, man. Yeah, so it is. It's actually about a little less than an hour away. I was thinking about going over to the flea markets today, but it rained out. I'm a big diecast nerd, but what a race, man. I mean, I had to take a set earlier in the race, so I was on old tires there at the end, and I really appreciate everybody trying to not run me over and be really clean about it. It stinks that Jeremy and Derek got involved, and then I think Jacob was trying to help me out and not run me over. But what a win, man. Home track. I came in not very confident. I was complaining to my crew chief all race that no matter how I tried to drive the car, I just sucked. But I guess in the end, it all worked out. So never say never, I guess.
Hey, anything is possible until the checkered flag flies, man. You certainly proved that again tonight. Describe the intensity of those last couple restarts. You stayed out there. You didn't come down pit road. You had a good buffer between yourself and the cars with new tires. It didn't stay green. Talk about that pressure that was building inside of the race car and how it felt coming across that start-finish line, knowing that you pulled it off.
I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my hands. I was shaking a lot. But it just wouldn't be possible with everybody at Prodigy and the help from Ryko, man. And big shout out to Big Fish Barbecue. Go check them out on Facebook. Some of the best barbecue sauce ever. Brandon's Lasers, Centers of Intelligence for Cancer Research. Man, there's so many people I could thank. It feels really good to win at my home track, man. Honestly, it's, I know this is a sim and all, but as a kid, going here 13, 14, 15 times, and now being 25, it's a dream to race here and to never win here on any sim and in any car, and then come in here and have such a good race and struggle a lot, but ultimately, I guess, make the right decision in the end. Just really means a lot to me, man. One more shout out. Got to give a big shout out to my mom, my fiance, my friends Matt Power, Ben Tubbs, my old football coach Tim Wallace, just everybody who watches and supports every week. Hell of a race, man. I appreciate you guys, too, for broadcasting every week. You guys do a great job. I'm glad that you guys were able to stay on. And I'd say I'd go drink, but I don't have any alcohol left, so I guess I'm going to sit here and read a book or something now.
Or you can always go back and watch the broadcast however you want to celebrate it. You know what? You're right. You didn't have the car that seemed to beat throughout much of the race, but the one thing you never did is you never said die and you never quit. And you stayed up on the wheel and you stayed hungry. And sometimes that's exactly what it takes. And true class, showcasing that here tonight. Congratulations, man. Now, talk to me about the other side of this as you're drifting and making it look easy as you're doing the interview at the same time. So skill points for that, man. What does this do now for the rest of the season moving forward?
I mean, RJ won 2 in a row. He's got 3 wins. Alex has 6, I think, so yes. I'll never be able to catch up to him. But
don't say that, because I think with tonight's win, you just moved into the points lead.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know, but it definitely feels really good, man. I mean, Alex is so fast every week, and so's RJ and the rest of the guys. But it just, I don't know, man. It means a ton. Like, to be able to come back to iRacing full time back in Las Vegas and win, and then, I guess Dega, was a wild card, but to be able to keep reminding myself that I can win and that I am competitive, and that no matter how bad the past few weeks, again, with, my power going out at Nashville and then all the flooding that happened last week and not really prepping for Chicago, and then, Atlanta happens and the flooding still continues. If anybody who's watching wants to donate to the Vermont flood cause, go to the Red Cross or check the Vermont.gov website. We've had a lot of flooding recently, but thankfully I haven't been affected. So if you guys want to check that out, donate some food, clothes, some extra cash that you got in your wallets, whatever helps. Half the state is underwater, so
literally.
Yeah, no, literally, and that means a lot too. To win you know, as a representative of Vermont, especially during the past hard 2 weeks, I mean, it means a ton, man. But I just killed the car on accident, so I'm going to get out of it now, and I'm going to leave you guys be. So thank you guys again for everything that you guys do, and appreciate it.
Well, there he is, ladies and gentlemen, getting the good out of his race car, putting on a show while we was live in the booth with Tony Trabasso and myself. Never give up, never say never, and you just might wind up in victory lane. He's your winner, the 74 of Brandon Estrom. Tony, back to you.
Unfortunately, Rafael Rodriguez just jumped out of our Discord server, so we aren't going to be able to talk with him. But joining me now is the man who scratched and clawed and did everything but, you know, swing a bat tonight at the competition to keep him behind him. Seba Cornez, congratulations on, I believe, your first podium in quite a while.
Yeah, first podium in quite a while for sure. I mean, obviously the level of competition in here, it's like very distorted. But yeah, I mean, best we can do today. It was really good race, third place. Yeah, just very good race.
You had the strongest Toyota by far all night long. What do you attribute that to?
I mean, just a great setup by everyone at the DGR. Very good. I mean, we just can't compete with these guys. So yeah.
I'm going to call shenanigans on that because you were in the top 10 all night long, slugging away at it and using a little bit of pit strategy to claw your way forward. Seba, congratulations on the podium as we get ready to move ever closer to the playoffs. You're currently coming into tonight. I believe you were, let me look. You were fifth in points. This is definitely going to help that cause.
Yeah, it's just, you know, try to get as much points as we can. Hopefully we can survive the playoffs and not get eliminated too early.
Well, if anybody can do it, I'm sure you can. Who do you need to thank? Who helps you get it done on the Uruguay National number 14?
Oh, everyone at the DGR, they built great cars. Stacy Strong, Brian Tarnowski for, you know, funding the broadcast and keeping it going. And then the league, great league. Just things that can be improved for next year, but hopefully we get to that point.
Seba Cornez, again, congratulations on the podium here tonight at Loudon. Go have yourself a nice lobster dinner, sir. You have earned it.
Thank you.
And Matt, with that puts another one in the books for us. Yeah, it does, Tony. Once again, SNN, or I should say, Stacy Strong, Stacy's Hope, comes in tonight and puts on another spectacle. What a dazzling performance from all the drivers. It had everything you could have wanted, the storylines, the drama, the carnage. And at the end of the day, Brandon Estrom pulls off probably one of the boldest statement wins I've seen in a long time. Rafael Rodriguez, Seba Cornez definitely shook things up here and made it hard for him. But what a race, what a 301 lap spectacle we've seen here tonight.
I don't think we could have asked for a better race here at Loudon. We saw some very nice length of runs, but when these tires fell off, they fell off the cliff. And, you know, that's really what we saw tonight, biting more drivers than not, was, you know, just the tires giving up the ghost after about 35 laps. But, yeah, Edstrom, Rodriguez, Cornez, it's going to definitely help Cornez in the points here tonight. As we'll take a quick look at the finishing order. Edstrom, Rodriguez, Cornez, we just spoke with two of those three gentlemen. And unfortunately, Rodriguez not able to join us in the Discord server yet. Tanner Marty coming home in fourth after, I mean, look at that. It doesn't get much closer than that. You throw a blanket over your top three and, you know, point. Rich Jett, your biggest mover, plus 15, coming home in sixth. Tanner Marty was plus 12, by the way, so great run there.
Great run.
Derek Heitman going to come home in seventh. Jeremy Miller in eighth. Nate Spomer in 9th, and Jake Schneider rounding out your top 10. Chris Claude, Steve Herring, and Eugenio Alonso rounding out your lead lap cars tonight. Matt?
14th belongs to Alexander Glenner, Ken Ron, Nick Stein, Ron Fitting, Mark Johnston, Cody Colley, and Raymond Root in the 69. Round out your top 20. John Wilco, Jeff Carson, Timothy Cook, Landon Lacey, Ryan Samuelson. That's your top 25. Going further on down the list, 26, that's going to be J. Randall Watkins and Joseph Stafford, rounding out the 27 competitors that took the green flag here tonight.
So that is going to do it for us tonight. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications so you don't miss a single mode of action this week on Sim Racing Media. As tomorrow night we've got a quadruple header on store. We've got a quintuple header in store for Tuesday, and I believe a triple header on store for Wednesday evening. And you don't want to miss a single mode of action. So hit the subscribe button, turn on bell notifications, and show some love to the broadcast. Show some love to the racers. It really does help share these videos around YouTube. The more thumbs up a video gets, the more likely it is to be shared when someone logs into their YouTube account. He's Matt Metler. I'm Tony Trapasso. Reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that until we get a chance to meet again, and as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a huge favor. Don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.